Chapter 1154. Noble money was a very vulgar name, but in the rank 6 region, this name represented the word ruthless. As an elder of the Clear Flower sect, he had already reached the early stage of Nirvana Shatterer. His spells were shocking, and because of his personality, if one provoked him and their cultivation level wasn't high enough, then the only outcome was death. More than 1,000 years ago, there was a small sect in the rank 6 region that accidentally killed one of his disciples. Noble Money slaughtered his way to the sect, and he and several other fellow sect members destroyed the sect. Blood flowed like a river. This battle caused his name to spread, and everyone in the rank 6 region knew about him. At this moment, his expression was gloomy as he sat on the head of a dragon-shaped python. He was roaming the rank 5 region with the spirit beast below him. Behind him were the core disciples of the Clear Flower sect. I didn't expect that clue to be true. Thinking about this, Noble Money's heart couldn't help but race. A few months ago, their Clear Flower sect had obtained a clue about the legendary Nirvana Void pill recipe and a jade that could allow one to become a core disciple of the Heaven-Breaking sect. This discovery shocked the entire Clear Flower sect. As a native cultivator of the Cloud Sea Star system, Noble Money naturally knew about the heaven-shattering event that happened 18,000 years ago. 18,000 years ago, the rank 8 Heaven-Breaking sect was ready to move to the rank 9 region. 2 months before they moved to the rank 9 region, they accidentally found a spatial rift that was filled with restrictions and danger. The Heaven-Breaking sect gathered a large amount of cultivators, and several elders at the Heaven's Blight stage led them inside. They broke through the restrictions along the way and suffered countless casualties. In the end, they found a skeleton in the depths of the spatial rift. There were 3 items beside the skeleton: a pill, a broken sword, and a beast bone. After obtaining these 3 items, the elders of the Heaven-Breaking sect went crazy. They quickly left the spatial rift and prepared to return to the Heaven-Breaking sect as soon as possible. This was because their discovery was simply too incredible, enough to shock the entire Cloud Sea. It was even possible for the Heaven-Breaking sect to become the number 1 sect in the Cloud Sea, surpassing the supreme rank 9 divine sect. However, there was a traitor among them. Once word got out, all of the rank 8 sects would mobilize. Countless eccentrics who spent most of their time in seclusion, rarely ventured out, came out to participate in the fighting that left their eyes bloodshot. However, the Heaven-Breaking sect that had entered the rank 9 region had the power to fight against all the sects in the rank 8 region. This battle set off a bloody storm across the rank 8 region. The rank 7 region was affected and moved as well. The rank 6 region was the same, and even the rank 5 region was affected. A calamity that swept through the Cloud Sea Star system began. This matter was so intense that even after 18,000 years, Noble Money would still be shaken whenever he thought about it. In the end, it even caused the rank 9 region, which never interfered with the matters of the lower realms, to act. The situation was extremely unfavorable for the Heaven-Breaking sect, and it was at this moment that the Heaven-Breaking sect split. A majority of the Heaven-Breaking sect members weren't willing to continue fighting for those 3 items. They used the pill and the broken sword to exchange for the right to continue living. They even offered them up to maintain the original path of their sect and entered the rank 9 region. A small portion of the Heaven-Breaking sect cultivators took the beast bone and began a life and death battle with the other sections. In the end, they disappeared into the river of history. As for the beast bone pill recipe, it also disappeared. No one knew where it went. Some people guessed that it was taken by the cultivators of the rank 9 region, while others guessed that it was hidden in the hands of a rank 8 sect that hunted the Heaven-Breaking sect. In short, this matter came to an end. The location of the beast bone pill recipe became an eternal secret. It wasn't until 18,000 years later that the rank 6 sect, the Clear Flower sect, found a clue by chance. Whether this clue was true or false, it shocked the Clear Flower sect. They sealed off all information related to this clue and didn't hesitate to slaughter people and kill some disciples that knew about it. This matter was simply too shocking. If they were careless, it would lead to the destruction of the entire sect. After all, the lesson of the heaven-breaking sect was enough to warn future generations. Compared to the heaven-breaking sect of the past, the Clear Flower sect was like an ant. They weren't qualified to obtain the beast bone at all. In truth, although they were greedy, they didn't intend to take it all for themselves. They wanted to find the beast bone pill recipe and offer it to a rank 8 sect in exchange for a large amount of benefits and long-term protection. They would also use this opportunity to become the overlord of the rank 6 region with the help of the rank 8 sect. However, they first had to prove that the clue was true. If they only gave the clue to a rank 8 sect, and it turned out to be false, the Clear Flower sect wouldn't be able to withstand the anger of the rank 8 sect. Therefore, they didn't dare to recklessly give out the clue and had to first verify it. However, if they wanted to verify it, they had to seal off any possibility of it spreading and couldn't let the other rank 6 sects find out. Also, the clue pointed to a sect in the rank 3 region. If the Clear Flower sect made a move, it would arouse suspicion. This was what the Clear Flower sect was worried about. Out of concern, they chose the calm head disciple, Shur Luoxing, to take 19 disciples and secretly head to the rank 3 region. Shur Luoxing's cultivation level wasn't the highest in the rank 6 region, so he wouldn't attract too much attention from the other sections. Even after Shur Luoxing went to the rank 3 region, he didn't cause any unnecessary trouble. However, not even Shur Luoxing would have thought the clue was true. Furthermore, it was extremely easy for him to obtain the beast bone fragment, as well as a jade slip. However, on the way back to the Clear Flower sect, the news was leaked for some reason, and the 5 Poison sect hunted him. For some reason, the other sects in the rank 6 region also learned of this matter. Shur Luoxing, you must hold on. Noble Money's origin energy surged into the spirit beast below him, causing it to move even faster. It pierced through the fog and charged toward the wild continent. The people he brought were only the first batch of reinforcements. Behind them, almost all of the Clear Flower sect had moved out. As he flew, Noble Money's eyes narrowed, and he saw a cultivator within the range of his divine sense. This cultivator spirit beast was a 1,000-foot-long black ape. Along the way, the white-haired cultivator wasn't the first person he had seen. However, this place wasn't far from the wild continent, so he caught Noble Money's attention. As he moved forward, his gaze was still on the white-haired cultivator. Not only him, but the dozen or so core disciples of the Clear Flower sect all looked over as well. These gazes were almost solid. Wang Lin's face immediately turned pale and was filled with shock. He stared dumbfoundedly at the dozen or so rays of light closing in. It was as if he had forgotten to fly and stopped in the air. He knew that his cultivation was strange and others wouldn't be able to see through it in a short period of time. In order to avoid unnecessary suspicion, he kept his origin energy around the mid-stage of Nirvana Scryer. Noble Money withdrew his gaze. He was in a rush to get to the wild continent. At first glance, there was nothing wrong with the white-haired cultivator. Whether it was his expression or appearance, he was shocked by their sudden appearance. According to the star map he had, there were several wild continents nearby. Looking at the white-haired cultivator's trajectory, it was obvious he had come from another wild continent. Noble Money didn't pay any more attention to him. The spirit beast under him passed by Wang Lin. The dozen or so core disciples also withdrew their gazes and passed by Wang Lin without a word. Wang Lin secretly let out a sigh of relief. He couldn't see what sect these cultivators were from, but they were obviously from the rank 6 region. They were heading toward the wild continent. However, just at this moment, a ray of light broke through the void at an unimaginable speed. This light was faintly discernible, and Wang Lin clearly saw a jade inside. Clearly, someone was using a jade slip to deliver a message. This was a divine ability used within the sect, allowing the jade slip to travel far faster than a cultivator. Furthermore, there was no need to worry about outsiders seeing it. There was an inherent restrictive spell formation inside, and without a specific hand seal, the jade slip would collapse upon contact. Moreover, in order to prevent accidents from happening, once a jade slip was sent, there would usually be more than one. This jade was too fast, and in the blink of an eye, it passed by Wang Lin and landed in the hand of Noble Money, who hadn't gone too far. Noble Money's expression changed, and his left hand formed a seal. He used a unique method to hold the jade and used the sect's secret method to check the jade. He scanned it with his divine sense, and his body trembled. This was a jade sent by the second wave of reinforcements. There was only one thing inside. Shi Luoxing's life token in the sect's hero pavilion had shattered. Shi Luoxing had died. Noble Money's expression was extremely gloomy as he mercilessly held the jade. His gaze suddenly fell on Wang Lin. He wasn't just suspecting Wang Lin, but Shi Luoxing had died, and he didn't know who killed him. It didn't matter if it was the Five Poison sect or another sect. Any cultivator that approached the wild continent was a target of suspicion. This matter was very important. Even if Noble Money had to kill 1,000 people, he wouldn't let one go. Take him to the wild continent. Noble Money pointed at Wang Lin, and 8 core disciples flew out toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression changed, and he stood up. His respectful expression revealed just the right amount of panic. He clasped his hands and asked, "Fellow cultivators, what is the meaning of this? Don't make us act. Fellow cultivator, come with us immediately." Of the 8 core disciples that charged at Wang Lin, 6 were corporeal yang cultivators, and 1 was at the early stage of Nirvana Scryer. If it was before, they wouldn't have acted like this when they met Wang Lin. After all, Wang Lin's cultivation level was higher than theirs. However, with Elder Money here and the sect's most important matter, they weren't going to be polite. It was snowing heavily outside. It didn't seem to stop snowing this winter in Mudanjiang. His lumbar vertebrae had relapsed. He came back from the hospital with the snow, and his face was pale from the pain. He clenched his teeth and wrote a chapter. He really wanted to take a leave of absence, but he hadn't done much lately. If he couldn't even update regularly, he would feel bad. He would work hard to write the second chapter. It might be slow, but it would be his best effort. Chapter 1155. He couldn't go back to the wild continent with these people. Due to the black ape, most of the fierce beasts on the wild continent remembered Wang Lin. If Wang Lin went back, those fierce beasts would become restless. This kind of restlessness would be a big flaw in the eyes of those who paid attention. This flaw meant that Wang Lin had left from here. Coupled with the time of Shi Luoxing's death, even if these rank 6 sect cultivators deduced that Shi Luoxing's death was caused by the Five Poison sect's old poison woman, they would become very suspicious of Wang Lin. Once this suspicion appeared, they would search Wang Lin's storage space. If they encountered overbearing cultivators, they would even search his soul. This kind of thing was a disaster for Wang Lin. His face was filled with indignation, but this kind of expression wouldn't arouse anyone's vigilance. After all, no matter who it was, they would only feel indignation and have to yield. However, just as the 8 core disciples closed in, Wang Lin controlled the black ape to turn around and follow them. At this moment, there was a flash of killing intent in Wang Lin's eyes. He couldn't go back to the wild continent. Going back would mean death. Aside from the one leading the charge, the strongest among the 18 cultivators was only at the early stage of Nirvana Cleanser. Once they attacked, they had to end it in a very short period of time. It was obvious there were still cultivators closing in, so they had to end the battle quickly. They couldn't leave a single one alive. Wang Lin raised his head and stepped forward. He waved his right hand, and Call the Wind appeared. 5 black dragons appeared and charged at the 5 people. At the same time, the black ape waved its arms and immediately launched an attack. Wang Lin moved like lightning and closed in on the Nirvana Scryer cultivator. His speed was far faster than the Nirvana Scryer cultivator could react. The Nirvana Scryer cultivator's pupil shrank, and he was about to retreat, but his vision was replaced by a finger. The finger quickly landed between his eyebrows and immediately withdrew, leaving behind a bloody hole. The destructive power of a Nirvana Cleanser cultivator rushed into his body and directly crushed his origin soul. Wang Lin didn't stop. His movements were as smooth as flowing water. After killing one cultivator, he charged forward, slamming into another cultivator. His right hand tapped the cultivator's chest several times, causing popping sounds to come from the cultivator's body. Blood sprayed out his mouth. At this moment, the black dragon formed by Call the Wind landed on the 5 of them. Facing by Fan's celestial spell, the 5 cultivators at the corporeal yang stage couldn't resist at all. The black dragon entered their bodies, and their bodies collapsed. At the same time, the 2 people who were killed by Wang Lin also collapsed. There was even one person who was directly transformed into a pile of flesh and blood by the ferocious strength of the black ape's arms. A shrill cry reverberated through the air. All of this happened in the time it takes for a spark to fly off a flint, and it was inconceivably fast. The 8 of them exploded almost at the same time, turning the area around Wang Lin into a blood-colored mess. Noble Money, who was charging ahead, suddenly turned around. His eyes were filled with shock, but they immediately turned ferocious and charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was neutral, but he felt extremely bitter in his heart. His original body wasn't here, so how could he provoke a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator with his cultivation level? However, right now, he didn't have time to think too much. After killing 8 people, Wang Lin took a step forward. He had to kill everyone aside from the Nirvana Shatterer cultivator as soon as possible. Otherwise, if one of them escaped, it would be difficult for Wang Lin to move an inch in the Cloud Sea. However, the 9 people, including the Nirvana Cleanser cultivator, immediately reacted and scattered. As Wang Lin moved forward, Noble Money closed in like lightning. His hands formed a ray of black light that shot toward Wang Lin to stop him from moving forward. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. His right hand formed a seal, and slaughter energy gathered around him to form layers of slaughter protection. Then Wang Lin charged forward without hesitation. As he charged forward, it was as if he had smashed into Noble Money's black light. A thunderous rumble echoed, and the slaughter energy around him collapsed layer by layer. Wang Lin charged forward without hesitation. The spell of a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator was not simple. The slaughter energy protection instantly dissipated, and a powerful force entered Wang Lin's body, causing him to cough out a mouthful of blood. However, his body rushed out of the black light, and, as Noble Money closed in, he charged towards the 9 core disciples. His left eye was filled with flames, and they fused into his left hand. He waved his left hand, and a sea of flames appeared in the starry sky. 3 of the Clear Flower Sect's core disciples immediately let out pitiful screams as they were burned to ashes by the sea of flames. The expressions of the remaining 6 changed greatly, and they quickly retreated. Wang Lin's face was pale, and he was about to chase. However, just at this moment, Noble Money closed in with an angry roar. His right hand formed a seal, and the black python below him turned into a black lance. It closed in on Wang Lin like crazy. Seeing the 6 people scatter and him being held back by Noble Money, Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot. He knew that the gap between him and Noble Money was too big. Once he stopped, it would be impossible to kill the 6 of them. As the lance closed in, Wang Lin opened his mouth and spat out the 18 Hell Celestial Sealing Stamp. The moment it appeared, it blocked before him and collided with the lance. With a bang, the Celestial Sealing Stamp was pushed back and landed on Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin coughed out blood and immediately retreated toward a person not far away. He waved his right hand, and a ray of green light shot toward the cultivator's neck. The cultivator's pupil shrank, and he raised his hand. Black light came from his body and turned into a shield to block. However, Wang Lin waved his right hand, and the shield collapsed. The cultivator's hand broke, and a powerful origin energy spread out, causing his head to explode and his origin soul to die. There are still 5 people. Wang Lin's right hand formed a seal, and he waved his hand. Rain energy filled the air and turned into countless raindrops that swept through the stars. The raindrops condensed into 5 crystal swords that shot toward the remaining 5 Clear Flower Sect core disciples. Just at this moment, Noble Money finally closed in. His right hand reached out, and a crack to his storage space appeared. A white horsetail whisk flew out, and Noble Money grabbed the horsetail whisk and waved it forward. Suddenly, The laws of the world appeared above Wang Lin and descended like a rain of swords. They were too fast and closed in the blink of an eye. Wang Lin suddenly looked up, and his left eye lit up. A red armor immediately appeared on his body. Popping sounds echoed as the white light landed on Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's body trembled, and he coughed out blood once more. His face was pale, and his origin soul weakened. His right leg was a bloody mess from the white light. He clenched his teeth and continued to retreat. If it wasn't for the armor, this attack would have killed him. At this moment, the Summon the Rain technique had transformed into a small crystal sword that pierced through the bodies of the 5 core disciples. Miserable screams echoed as blood and flesh flew everywhere. For the 5 people's bodies collapsed, and their origin souls were destroyed. However, one of them took out a jade and crushed it at the moment of danger. He protected his origin soul and escaped into the distance. How could Wang Lin let this person escape? His right hand reached out, and a ray of sword energy flew out from his storage space. It was Su Ligua chasing after the origin soul. If you don't kill him, you will die. This was the first divine sense message Su Ligua heard from Wang Lin. How could he dare to underestimate Wang Lin? He chased after Wang Lin like crazy. There was a flash of silver light that flew out from his storage space. It was the woman in silver. She didn't participate in the attack on Noble Money, but went after the spirit beasts that had lost their masters. All of this happened in a few short breaths of time. Killing all the cultivators besides Noble Money was a great burden for Wang Lin, but he couldn't relax. The biggest danger was this Nirvana Shatterer cultivator before him. The reason he was so eager to kill the other cultivators, aside from worrying that they would escape, was because if he wanted to kill this Nirvana Shatterer cultivator, he couldn't be disturbed at all. Only then would he have a chance. If my original body was here, it would be easier to kill this person. Wang Lin raised his right hand and pointed at the celestial sealing stamp. With a wave of his hand, crystal light appeared and souls charged out from the 18 layers of hell. The strongest souls were the souls formed by the fusion of Master Void and Tian Yunzi's avatars. They were Wang Lin's trump card. The moment they appeared, a cold aura filled the star domain. Noble Money's expression was extremely ugly. He didn't expect that in just a few breaths of time, the white-haired youth in front of him would erupt with such a powerful divine ability. He even killed all the core disciples in front of him. His divine ability actually couldn't kill this cultivator. What shocked him even more were the dead souls the cultivator used. 2 of them gave off an aura that made him feel fear. This aura meant that these 2 dead souls had a shocking cultivation level when they were alive. Although they were only souls and couldn't be compared to when they were alive, they still shocked Noble Money. As Wang Lin pointed, Master Void and Tian Yunzi's souls roared and charged at Noble Money. However, if this was it, he wouldn't be able to end the battle in a short period of time. If this dragged on for too long, reinforcements would arrive, and Wang Lin would without a doubt die. His eyes were bloodshot, and his right hand reached at the void. The moment Master Void and Tian Yunzi's souls charged out, he took out the iron sword. As soon as the iron sword appeared, the starry sky trembled. Even the starry mist in the surroundings trembled. It was as if there was a majestic force spreading out, causing the starry mist to be pushed back and churn. Pseudo-Nirvana Void. Noble Money's eyes suddenly narrowed. If the appearance of the dead soul had shocked him before, then the moment he saw this iron sword, he was shocked beyond belief. Thick greed suddenly surged throughout his body. He took a step forward, and his Nirvana Shatterer cultivation erupted like crazy. A Nirvana Shatterer cultivator was far stronger than a Nirvana Cleanser cultivator. This battle would be a bitter one for Wang Lin. He had to win, and he had to be fast. He almost finished writing this chapter while standing. He couldn't sit, because sitting down would hurt. How he wished he could use the monthly ticket to form a pair of small hands to gently massage his waist. Where are those small hands? Chapter 1156. Holding the rusty iron sword, Wang Lin immediately retreated as Noble Money closed in. His left hand pointed forward, and Master Void and Tian Yunzi's souls flew out. These two souls could be said to be Wang Lin's most powerful spells aside from the sliver of origin left between his eyebrows. Along with his ace, the iron sword, he was going all out. After all, he was no longer at the Qing Lin celestial mansion. Back then, he had his original body at its peak, so he wasn't afraid of any spells. He also had endless ancient god power, so one punch from him could shake the heavens. He also didn't have the opportunity to use Sundered Night. Even the Azure Light Shield had collapsed at the Qing Lin celestial mansion, so he didn't have the life-saving spell dream of ancient times. At this moment, Wang Lin only had one avatar, so it would be extremely difficult for him to kill a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. In particular, his right leg was a bloody mess after being pierced by the white light from Noble Money's spell. Nirvana Shatterer origin energy that contained some law of the world was rampaging through his body. If it wasn't for the fact that his origin soul had the protection of the ancient god leather armor, his origin soul would have immediately collapsed. Fortunately, Wang Lin's body wasn't ordinary either. It had been refined by the fire of the world in the Rosefinch Divine Sect, so it contained the law of thunder and fire. As a result, he was only injured and not killed by Noble Money's spell. Wang Lin had experienced many dangers along the way, so he naturally knew how powerful a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator was. The crisis before him gave Wang Lin no time to think. He had to end this battle as soon as possible and kill this Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. As he pointed with his left hand, Master Void and Tian Yunzi's souls charged at Noble Money. Even Noble Money was extremely cautious when facing these two powerful souls. He had never seen a Nirvana Cleanser cultivator with a spell that could threaten a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. In particular, Tian Yunzi's soul was on the verge of madness. His hands formed seals and divine abilities appeared. These divine abilities were blurry and couldn't be seen clearly, but they were able to mobilize the laws of heaven and earth to attack Noble Money. There was also Master Void's soul. Because he was at the first Heaven's Blight before he died, his attacks were filled with wind and thunder to resist Noble Money's spells. If Wang Lin wasn't in a rush, then Tian Yunzi and Master Void souls would be enough to keep Noble Money alive. However, Wang Lin didn't have the time or the celestial spiritual energy to keep these two souls alive. Transforming beings into soldiers consumed the most immortal energy. As Master Void and Tian Yunzi's souls battled with Noble Money, Wang Lin raised his right hand and mercilessly chopped down. An earth-shattering ray of sword energy flew out and descended on Noble Money's head. This didn't end. Wang Lin closed his eyes and gave up on controlling the iron sword. He let the iron sword use its own spells. The iron sword seemed to stick to Wang Lin's right hand as it charged out with Wang Lin and swung down again. In this starry sky, rays of light suddenly appeared in arcs. Each ray of light represented a sword. Every sword strike consumed a large amount of origin energy in Wang Lin's body. The sword lights lingered like a bouquet of flowers. From a distance, these arc-shaped sword lights were continuous, as if a sword flower was blooming beside Noble Money. In the blink of an eye, Shan sword strikes descended. Wang Lin, who was being carried by the iron sword, waved his right hand with his eyes closed. He unexpectedly gave off a shocking aura, as if everything in the world was moving with his sword and could destroy anything. All of this happened in an instant. Noble Money was entangled by Master Void and Tian Yunzi's souls. His hands formed seals, and he used spells and treasures, but his face was pale. Earlier, he could only see that the iron sword was a pseudo-Nirvana Void treasure, but even pseudo-Nirvana Void treasures had differences in strength. What he didn't expect was that the power of this iron sword was shocking. At this moment, the sword energy was clearly around him, but he couldn't avoid it. He let out a roar as he tried to break free from the entanglement of the two dead souls. However, just at this moment, Wang Lin's closed eyes suddenly opened. His face was pale as he withdrew the iron sword. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he slashed out 6 times. A total of 19 strikes had extracted nearly 60% of Wang Lin's origin energy. The moment he retreated, the 19 illusory swords appeared around Noble Money. With Wang Lin's cultivation level, he could use more sword strikes, but the consequences of using the iron sword was not something Wang Lin wanted, so he forcibly interrupted the use of the iron sword. With his current cultivation level, he could control the first 19 strikes, but after the 19th strike, even if he wanted to interrupt it, it would be useless. He would only be able to use the sword until he was exhausted. Cut! Wang Lin let out a roar, and the 19 illusory swords descended. They formed a series of sword strikes that shot toward Master Void. All of this happened unbelievably fast. Noble Money couldn't resist the 19 Nirvana Void swords at all. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the stars as the rays of sword energy pierced through Noble Money's body. His body trembled and suddenly split into 19 parts, causing blood to spray everywhere. A mournful roar echoed at the same time. Noble Money's body collapsed, but he was still a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. At this moment of crisis, his origin soul charged out from his head and flew off into the distance with a horsetail whisk. At this moment, his mind was filled with unimaginable fear. His intuition told him that this white-haired cultivator knew about the heaven-breaking sect and the pill recipe. Even sure Luoxing's death was related to this person. What sect is this person from to have such a powerful treasure? Could it be someone from the rank 8 region? Thinking about this, Noble Money's mind trembled violently, and his origin soul escaped like crazy. He was going to tell his fellow sect members about this. He also understood that the second wave of reinforcements would arrive soon. He only needed to last a bit longer. Wang Lin's face was pale. The moment Noble Money's origin soul escaped, there was a flash of fire in his left eye and monstrous fire surrounded his body. If one looked closely, they would find that there wasn't just one layer of fire, but 9 layers of fire. 9 mysterious transformations. The moment the 9 layers of fire appeared, they began to shrink like crazy until they gathered around Wang Lin. With a bang, Wang Lin's body seemed to be burning as he took a step forward. As he moved, his body disappeared and was replaced by a white rose finch hundreds of feet tall. This rose finch was Wang Lin. With a flap of its wings, it instantly caught up to Noble Money and crashed into his primordial spirit with a sea of flames. Noble Money's pupil shrank, and he let out a scream. He felt death closing in on him once more, but he didn't have time to think. His eyes were filled with madness as his hands formed a seal and a destructive aura spread out from his body. At this moment of crisis, he chose to self-destruct his origin soul. However, with his cultivation level, he could even control the self-destruction. His arms suddenly exploded and turned into a storm that shot toward the rose finch. At the same time, the wisp treasure he had placed his origin soul in also exploded. It turned into countless white lines that shot toward the rose finch. However, it still couldn't stop the rose finch's charge. It smashed into Noble Money's body, and flames surrounded him. Waves of miserable screams echoed, and Noble Money's origin soul immediately withered. He desperately retreated, his body covered in flames as he fled far away. As he escaped, his hands formed seals, and strange runes appeared around him. The soul of a giant python appeared around him. The moment the soul of the giant python appeared, it shrank and collapsed under Noble Money's inhalation. After absorbing the soul of his life spirit beast, Noble Money escaped like crazy without looking back. Rosefinch dissipated, and Wang Lin's figure appeared. His chest was a bloody mess, and there were white lines moving through his flesh. He stared at Noble Money, and the killing intent in his eyes became even stronger. Heavenly Fate's soul, fuse with my divine sense. Without using the stop spell, Wang Lin's right hand formed a seal and pointed at Tian Yunzi's soul. The soul's eyes lit up and turned into a ray of ghostly light that entered Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's body trembled, and his eyes suddenly calmed down. This calm gaze made it seem like he knew everything in the world. Of all the cultivators Wang Lin had encountered, only Tian Yunzi was like this. After obtaining Qing Lin's fortune, Wang Lin's understanding of Bifan spell became even more thorough. When a magic arsenal spell was cultivated to the limit, one could fuse it with their own will. Ignoring noble money, who was getting further and further away, Wang Lin slowly closed his eyes. At the same time, he raised his left hand and pointed at the space before him. Suddenly, a storm swept out in the starry sky in front of them. The fog churned violently, and yellow ripples spread out. At the center of the ripples, a huge hand suddenly appeared. Its index finger protruded into a half-clenched fist, and it suddenly appeared. Heavenly Fate Finger. Using his own power and the will of the Heavenly Fate Soul, the Heavenly Fate Finger descended on the Cloud Sea Star system. It mercilessly smashed down on the escaping Noble Money's origin soul. No matter how he dodged, he couldn't avoid the finger that landed on his body. With a boom, the Heavenly Fate Finger replaced everything in the starry sky. Noble Money's origin soul collapsed in despair, turning into specks of light that dissipated in the starry sky. The Heavenly Fate Finger also dissipated. The surroundings were completely silent. From the moment he attacked until now, only a short period of time had passed. After putting everything away, Wang Lin charged into the distance. If my original body was here, today's battle wouldn't have been so difficult. 3 trials, 7 calamities. I wonder if my original body could have passed it. Wang Lin's right hand covered his chest. There were countless white lines moving through his body, and bursts of intense pain came from it. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes as he changed directions and disappeared into the distance. 5 days later, when the continent of Mo Luo appeared in the distance, Wang Lin let out a sigh of relief. During these 5 days, he had carefully considered the direction he had chosen. He knew that there would be cultivators closing in, so he took a big detour. Fortunately, he didn't encounter any more cultivators along the way and successfully escaped the vortex of conflict. Wang Lin didn't know that shortly after he killed Noble Money, the other sects also found out about Shi Luoxing's death. This news quickly spread, and the surrounding star domain was tightly sealed with the Wild Continent as the center. Noble Money's death shocked the Clear Flower sect, and they locked down the star system to search for the killer. However, at this moment, Wang Lin was already far away. These rank 6 cultivators naturally discovered the skeleton and the fragments of the skeleton in the valley where Shi Luoxing was located. Their target was the Five Venoms sect. With regards to this matter, the Five Venoms sect simply could not explain the covetous gazes of the other sections. A hidden movement gradually began in the Rank 5 region. After returning to the continent of Mo Luo, Wang Lin turned into a ray of light and flew toward the origin sect. He knew that in the following days, the Rank 5 region would be in chaos. The Rank 6 sects would conduct a large-scale search, and at this time, the identity of the origin sect would be especially important. Wang Lin's return didn't attract too much attention from the origin sect. He almost teleported to the southern courtyard of the origin sect. The moment he appeared, he saw Su Yun sitting outside the door and was startled for a moment. "You?" Su Yun subconsciously wanted to speak, but Wang Lin ignored her. He waved his right hand, and a large amount of herbs appeared. In the blink of an eye, they formed a small mountain between him and Su Yun. "I'll return your herbs." Wang Lin threw out one sentence and walked into the room. Su Yun stared dumbfoundedly at the herbs before her and gasped. With her knowledge, she could tell that many of these herbs were extremely difficult to obtain. Their value was far greater than what Wang Lin had consumed. After being startled for a moment, Su Yun finally recovered and let out a sigh of relief. Ever since Wang Lin left, she had been reprimanded by her teacher. She was worried that once Senior Tsengyo left, the Purple Dao sect would come and she would become a sinner for all eternity. Wang Lin sat inside the room with a serious expression. His right hand pointed at his chest several times. His face was still pale as he began to cultivate. Gradually, a white line flickered on his chest and was forced out of his body bit by bit. The white lines twisted and looked very ferocious. Wang Lin's right hand quickly grabbed the white lines and pulled them out. Blood immediately appeared and dyed his clothes red. Staring at the white lines in his hand, there was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. He mercilessly squeezed, and popping sounds could be heard as the white lines turned to dust. After taking a deep breath, Wang Lin continued to cultivate and continued to force out the white lines in his body. He had spent almost all his time doing this, so there weren't many white lines left in his body. On the third day after returning to the origin sect, all the white lines in Wang Lin's body were forced out. He watched the last white line turn to dust, and Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly. His right hand reached at the void, and a crack to his storage space appeared. The jade and the beast bone pill recipe flew out and landed in his hand. After taking a deep breath, Wang Lin hadn't had much time to carefully observe these two items. Now that he relaxed, his divine sense spread out, and he was about to study them. However, just at this moment, his eyes narrowed, and he put away the jade and pill recipe. His body disappeared from the room, and he went underground toward where his original body was. I'm about to go through divine retribution. He basically didn't sleep last night, and his lumbar spine felt like it was being stabbed by needles. Today, the pain was unbearable, and it was difficult to get up. He didn't have much energy and was in a daze. He clenched his teeth and wrote 4,000 words. As for the remaining 2,000 words, if Air Jin could endure it, he would finish them. If he couldn't finish them, he would fill them in. Air Jin didn't want to say it, but right now he really couldn't. Chapter 1157. The ancient gods, 3 trials, 7 calamities were like the heavens' 5 blights of cultivators. They were like life knives that hung above one's head. If one survived, their cultivation would increase greatly. If one failed, their body and soul would be destroyed. The first trial had 2 calamities, the second trial also had 2 calamities, and the third trial had 3 calamities. The ancient gods' 3 trials were much more strange than the heavens' 5 blights. According to Wang Lin's memories, the stronger the ancient god, the slower the calamity. Although the calamity began at 6 stars, some ancient gods didn't encounter the first trial until 7 stars. There were even a few ancient gods that didn't face the first trial until 8 stars. For example, 2C had easily passed the tribulation when he was on the 8th star, and his magical powers had improved greatly. Although he hadn't reached the 9th star, he had reached the peak of the 8th star. In order to reach the legendary 9th star, he had taken the risk to cultivate the flowing ink soul fission art. As for the 3 calamities of the third trial, they were the highest calamities of the ancient god clan. As for what they were like, 2C didn't know. Facing 2 calamities of the first trial at 5 stars was something that 2C didn't remember. Every time he thought about this, Wang Lin would bitterly smile. The reason his ancient god's 3 trials arrived early was because he wasn't a complete ancient god, and because he had used too much ancient god power in the demon spirit land. All of this caused him to become the first ancient god to go through the first trial at 5 stars. The calamity that an 8-star ancient god could easily pass was a fine line between life and death for Wang Lin. One of the 2 calamities of the first trial was the constant damage to the entire body. When he was at the Rosefinch Divine Sect, Wang Lin's entire lower body was left with black bones. After coming to the Cloud C-star system, the damage was even more severe, and everything below his chest was only bones. This was just the beginning, the first trial. Once his body was completely devoid of flesh and blood, the first trial would end, and the 2 calamities would arrive. If nothing unexpected happened, his original body would without a doubt die. Fortunately, Wang Lin had obtained 2C's heart's blood, so he had the strength to fight. In the depths of the Gui Yuan sect, where his original body, which was sitting cross-legged, no longer had any flesh or blood. All that was left was a skeleton. The skeleton was wrapped in a blood-red color. The blood-red color was like a thin film that stuck to the bones and spread throughout the body. If one looked closely, they would notice that there was a small amount of blood flowing between the blood-red film and the bones. At the moment when Wang Lin's clone approached, the eye sockets of the main body suddenly lit up with a dim light. as if it had awakened. Wang Lin sat down cross-legged and stood guard for the true body. At the same time, he poured all of his mind into the true body to share the pain. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. In these 3 days, the pain of the original body continuously increased. The feeling of having no flesh and blood, only bones, but the consciousness was still clear, was enough to drive someone crazy. In these 3 days, his body had grown 10 times bigger. At this moment, in the depths of the Gui Yuan sect, a skeleton that was more than 100 feet tall lay there. The blood on the skeleton shined, and the blood flowed faster. After another 3 days, the skeleton of Wang Lin's original body had completely grown and reached a length of more than 300 feet. The bones that were thicker than a person had very little blood, but it was still flowing. However, the speed of the blood gradually slowed down until it dissipated. This blood was 2C's heart's blood. As it flowed, it was slowly absorbed by the original body's bones. When it was completely absorbed, the first trial ended. Just at this moment, the original body's eyes lit up. It was as if he could see through the earth and see the blue sky outside. At the same time, a series of cracking sounds suddenly reverberated in the depths of the ground. Bone calamity. This cracking sound came from the original body's right foot. At this moment, an invisible force seemed to turn into a giant hand that slowly crushed the bones in his right foot. The bones in his foot shattered and turned into dust that scattered to the side. Under this unimaginable pain, all the bones in the original body trembled. However, the cracking sounds didn't stop and became even more intense. In the end, it was like thunder that echoed deep underground. Every time it echoed, it meant that one of the bones in the original body had collapsed. Wang Lin's avatar's face was pale. He clenched his teeth and endured the unimaginable pain with the original body. Veins popped out on his face, and large beads of sweat fell like rain. This bone calamity descended in this merciless manner. With the powerful vitality of an ancient god, even if one lost their flesh and blood, as long as there was a trace of vitality, they could recover. The first trial erased vitality. After erasing vitality, the bone calamity came like a flood. It wanted to destroy all the bones in the original body that had lost their vitality. Once all the bones in the original body dissipated, the only outcome would be death. If the original body died, the avatar would also be destroyed. In order to pass this bone calamity, the original body had to reverse the damage and reawaken vitality to fight against it until all the bones in the body were reformed. The new bones that were reformed were many times stronger than before. Magic treasures wouldn't be able to break them at all. Therefore, although Wang Lin was in excruciating pain, he still endured it. Both the avatar and the original body were enduring it. He endured the pain and the continuous breaking of all the bones in his body. Only when all the bones in his body were broken could he resist and turn this bone calamity into an opportunity for the original body's strength to increase greatly. If he couldn't wait until then, even if he resisted and succeeded, only a part of the bones in his body would be reformed. The rest of the bones would remain the same as before. In this case, the bone calamity was a wasted opportunity for Wang Lin. However, Wang Lin understood that the later he resisted, the lower the success rate would be. As the bones continued to break, the area of collapse would become larger and the difficulty of passing the calamity would increase. In fact, in the ancient god clan, not to mention the 8-star ancient gods, almost all the 7-star ancient gods would choose to resist the calamity the moment all the bones in their body were broken and turn the calamity into a good fortune. However, although the idea was good, it was rare for them to actually do it. Very few of them could truly endure to that step. Often, when the bones were only the size of a fingernail, they couldn't help but start to resist the calamity. As a result, the fingernail-sized bone became the only weakness of the ancient gods. If this was the case for the 7-star ancient gods, it was even rarer for the 6-star ancient gods to endure to the last moment. The last moment was a dead end. Only by taking countless steps forward could one succeed. However, if one took a step back, it would be an abyss and both body and soul would be destroyed. As for whether or not he could last until that step, Wang Lin wasn't sure. However, for this opportunity to reform his flesh and blood so that he could become a real ancient god, Wang Lin decided to risk it all. My avatar is a heaven-defying cultivator, and my original body is a Defiant clan member. I, Wang Lin, have only cultivated one word: defy the heavens, defy the calamity, and defy fate. A mere calamity can't stop me from going against the heavens. The eyes of both Wang Lin's avatar and original body shined brightly. They revealed unyielding gazes. There was no shout or roar, just that unyielding gaze caused Wang Lin's heaven-defying thoughts to erupt like crazy. It was invisible and earth-shattering. Crackling sounds continued to echo. The original body's entire right leg had collapsed, and even the left leg below the knee had turned to ashes. The sound of bones collapsing came from the earth and gradually rushed to the surface. During this half a month, the entire continent of Mo Luo could hear the rumbling coming from underground. At first, it was weak, but now it became louder and louder, causing the earth to tremble slightly. The mortals on the continent of Mo Luo were all terrified and didn't know what was happening. They could only kneel and pray to the heavens to appease their anger. The cultivators of the Origin sect attached great importance to this matter and were all sent out to investigate. The rumbling was like a roar to them, and when it entered their ears, they couldn't help but be shocked. Li Xiangdong, Lu Yinfei, and the two elders floated in the air. Their gazes fell on the ground. With their cultivation levels, they could clearly feel where the rumbles were coming from. Originally, Li Xiangdong had planned to investigate a few days ago, but he was stopped by Lu Yinfei. However, now the rumbling had become even more intense and was almost heaven-shaking. If this was it wouldn't be a big deal. More importantly, as the rumbling got louder, the Origin energy on the continent of Mo Luo began to stir. It was as if there was an invisible force forming a vortex that was attracting Origin energy like crazy. What made the four of them feel even more terrified and unimaginable was that in the space outside the continent of Mo Luo, a large amount of Origin energy was gathering like crazy. Although it was still outside the continent, once such dense Origin energy rushed in, the continent of Mo Luo's defenses would instantly collapse. Thinking about the consequences of this, the four of them felt their scalps go numb. What shocked the four of them even more was the fierce beast that would occasionally appear in the fog outside the continent of Mo Luo. For some reason, these fierce beasts had all been attracted to the continent of Mo Luo. They stared at the continent of Mo Luo with fierce and hesitant eyes. They wanted to rush in several times, but in the end, they held back. This scene made it seem as if there was something here that was attracting these beasts, but their rationality prevented these beasts from moving forward, which was why they were hesitating. Among these fierce beasts, there were rank 5 and even rank 6 beasts. What was even more terrifying was that Li Xiangdong even saw a rank 7 beast. A rank 7 beast was strong enough to battle a mid-stage Nirvana Cleanser cultivator. Junior Sister Lu, it doesn't matter why you stopped the three of us from going to check before, but today we must go and see what exactly has happened on the continent of Mo Luo that can attract the Origin energy of the world and cause the fierce beasts that normally hide in the fog to gather. Li Xiangdong thought about the rank 7 beast, and his heart trembled. He stared at Lu Yinfei with a serious expression. The two old men also silently looked at Lu Yinfei. Lu Yinfei bit her lower lip and silently nodded. Yesterday, I owed 2,000 words, and my monthly votes fell out of the top 10. Today, I clenched my teeth and made up for it all. At this critical moment, I asked for monthly votes. Chapter 1158. One of the two old men worriedly said, "If it was only rank 7 beasts, it wouldn't be a big deal." The old man is worried that if this continues, even rank 8 beasts that can battle peak Nirvana Cleanser cultivators and rank 9 beasts that are as powerful as Nirvana Shatterer cultivators will be attracted. At that time, my continent of Mo Luo will fall into a calamity. Li Xiangdong pondered a bit and slowly said, "It shouldn't be. After all, my continent of Moluo is on the edge of the rank 4 region, so there shouldn't be any high-level fierce beasts around. I hope so." The old man shook his head and revealed a bitter expression as he looked at Lu Yanfei. Even now, they still didn't know why Lu Yanfei had stopped the three of them from exploring. Lu Yanfei didn't explain and charged down. The three of them looked at each other and no longer spoke. They followed closely behind Lu Yanfei. When they landed on the ground, their bodies shined brightly and they directly sank into the ground. The four of them slowed down a bit underground, and the rumbles became even more clear. Because they were close to the source of the sound, not only did their minds tremble, even their bodies trembled. There was also a terrifying fluctuation coming from the depths of the ground, causing the four of them to feel a pressure that came from their souls. It was as if there was a terrifying existence down below, an existence that could shake the heavens and earth. Before it, the four of them were like ants. This clear feeling caused the four of them to stop and their expressions to become serious. Only Lu Yanfei's eyes were bright, and she bit her lower lip. No one knew what she was thinking. What the hell is it? It actually has such pressure. This fluctuation, it shouldn't be a treasure. The three of them were extremely cautious. After hesitating for a bit, Li Xiangdong clenched his teeth and charged out. He wanted to see what was down there. The further down they went, the stronger the pressure became. The rumbling sounds became even more deafening, causing the hearts of the four of them to tremble. Under the pressure, they felt as if they were facing the apocalypse. The four of them moved slower and slower. The pressure from underground was filled with a crazy aura. The moment the four of them touched it, they immediately trembled. Lu Yanfei had been silent the entire time, and for the first time, she sent out a divine sense message. "I suggest we leave immediately." The other three were silent for a while. Li Xiangdong's eyes lit up, and he said, "I won't give up until I see what's down there." After saying that, he immediately rushed down again. The two old men hesitated for a moment before following behind. Lu Yanfei let out a sigh and also followed. As the four of them advanced, they gradually got closer to the source of the sound coming from deep underground. At this moment, the rumbling sound had far surpassed that of thunder. Especially at this position, the sound seemed to have returned to its origin, turning into an earth-shattering, cracking sound. The sound was like the sound of bones shattering, causing the four people's bones to go numb. However, just as the four of them closed in and were about to enter the source of the sound, a crazy divine sense swept out from the depths of the earth. "Get out of here!" This divine sense was very large and smashed into the four of them like a storm. Li Xiangdong was the closest, and his body trembled when the divine sense swept by. He coughed out a mouthful of blood, and popping sounds echoed inside his body. He retreated without hesitation, and his eyes were filled with monstrous fear. Not only him, but the two old men also trembled and coughed out blood. Their faces were pale, and they immediately retreated. Their minds trembled violently, and their eyes were filled with fear and terror. Even Lu Yanfei's body trembled, and blood came out from the corner of her mouth, but her eyes were even brighter. The appearance of this voice confirmed the speculation in her heart. Which senior is cultivating here? Junior is the origin sex, Li. Li Xiangdong retreated and was about to speak. Scram! Another divine sense spread out, but this time it was several times crazier and more powerful than before. This divine sense formed a storm that caused the earth of the continent of Moluo to tremble violently. A crazy force came from the depths of the earth and charged at Li Xiangdong and company. Li Xiangdong's body trembled, and he coughed out blood once more. His body was pushed back by the thunderous rumble, and he unexpectedly moved in a straight line. It was as if there was an indescribable force pushing his body through the earth. He broke through the earth and was thrown out with a bang. Just as his body broke through the earth and landed in the air, the earth rumbled. The two old men coughed out blood and were thrown out in a sorry state. Lu Yanfei was the same. The four of them stood in the air with terror in their eyes, and their minds trembled. They looked at each other before Lu Yanfei took a deep breath. She wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and slowly said, "I already told you not to go over." Fortunately, although Uncle Master was angry, he didn't hurt us too much. Uncle Master? The other three were pale. That crazy divine sense was deeply imprinted in their minds. Just thinking about it made them terrified. However, Lu Yinfei's words startled the three of them. Lu Yinfei pondered a bit and softly said, "Uncle Master Lu Zihao, you all should have heard of him." Ignoring the four of them, deep underground, almost all the bones in Wang Lin's original body had shattered, leaving behind a human-shaped pile of ashes. There was also a thunderous rumble coming from it. Even a majority of the skull had shattered and was still collapsing. The pain was indescribable, and it burned the minds of the original body in Wang Lin's avatar. Just at this moment, cracking sounds came from the remaining half of the skull, and it began to collapse once more. As it continued to collapse, the bone ash scattered and the remaining bone became less and less. In the end, it was only the size of a mortal's palm. This small bone was insignificant to a 3,000-foot ancient god. However, Wang Lin still endured, even though the pain he endured was enough to make him go crazy. Thunderous rumbles echoed once more. The palm-sized bone began its final disintegration. It became smaller and smaller until it was only the size of a fingernail. Then it completely dissipated due to the shock waves. Time seemed to stop and the world seemed to stop moving. The collapsed bone turned to ash and dissipated. At this moment, Wang Lin's avatar suddenly opened his eyes and pointed forward. "Stop!" With one word, the avatar's body trembled and thunderous rumbles echoed. He coughed out blood and fell back. At the same time, the dissipating bone ash paused for a moment. Shortly after, the aura of an ancient god spread out like crazy. The origin energy outside the continent of Mo Luo rushed into the ground and closed in on this place. A soundless, soul-piercing roar echoed out into the depths of the earth, into the ears of all mortals, all cultivators, and all living beings. This roar contained a heaven-defying intent and madness. The stop spell that Wang Lin's avatar had risked serious injuries to obtain a chance to resist for his original body. The ashes that were dissipating quickly gathered together at an incredible speed. In a moment, they had turned back into a fingernail-sized bone. As it condensed, origin energy from the continent of Mo Luo rushed in and fused with the bone. This newly condensed ancient god bone was far harder than the original body's bone. This fingernail-sized bone became larger and larger until it was 7 inches long. This 7-inch bone had consumed almost half of the origin energy on the continent of Mo Luo. The bone continued to expand, and soon it was a curved skull that was 5 feet wide. There was a burst of black light coming from the skull. This black light was the bone calamity that could shatter all ancient god bones. At this moment, the bone calamity continued to destroy, and at the same time, the original body continued to reform. This cycle of shattering and reforming caused the bones of the original body to reach a peak of toughness. Bursts of silent roars echoed, and the 5-foot-long bone fragment extended. Eventually, all the origin energy on the continent of Mo Luo gathered, leaving not a single trace behind. At this moment, Wang Lin's skull completely condensed. His eyes revealed a red glow, and an unyielding will spread out. "I'm an ancient god that dares to fight against the heavens. A mere bone calamity can't destroy me." The original body's eyes were monstrous, and he let out a roar as his neck bones spread out. At the same time, the origin energy outside the continent of Mo Luo surged toward the protective barrier around the continent of Mo Luo. The protective barrier was like paper and collapsed with a bang. The moment it collapsed, a vast amount of origin energy rushed in and turned into a storm that charged at the origin sect. All the cultivators of the origin sect had already scattered far away. They stared dumbfoundedly at the storm that charged into the ground of the origin sect. The collapse of the protective barrier and the influx of origin energy caused the fog outside the continent of Mo Luo to gather. However, before it could spread out, it was pulled toward the origin sect. At this moment, the sky was shrouded in fog. This fog churned like a long river and rushed toward the origin sect along with the origin energy. The fierce beasts outside seemed to be frightened. They all retreated and didn't dare to get close. As a large amount of origin energy rushed in, it was absorbed by Wang Lin's original body along with the fog. As the heaven-defying roars echoed, Wang Lin's bones continued to condense at an incredible speed as he resisted the bone calamity. Gradually, not only did the skull and neck bones appear, but the bones of Wang Lin's upper body also reformed. Although the bone calamity was strong, it was forced back by Wang Lin's defying will and desperate attack. It couldn't stop the bones from regenerating. The origin energy within 50 kilometers of the continent of Mo Luo rumbled and pulled in the fog. From afar, this place looked like a giant vortex, and the center of the vortex was the origin sect. Even further away, there was a giant lion-shaped beast with spikes all over its body. It was more than 2,000 feet tall, and its eyes were filled with greed as it charged toward the continent of Mo Luo. All the fierce beasts along the way made way for it, not daring to get close. The aura of a rank 8 beast spread out. My original body was going through divine retribution to form a new bone. My ears were also going through divine retribution, and I'm going to defeat it. There will be one more chapter to make up for what I owed yesterday. Brothers, the time to go through divine retribution has arrived. Contribute your power and help me pass divine retribution. Chapter 1159. The origin energy within 50 kilometers rushed in like crazy, but it still wasn't enough. The bones in Wang Lin's upper body had finished forming, but his lower body was still forming. Origin energy continued to rush in, and the vortex outside the continent of Mo Luo expanded from 50 kilometers to 500 kilometers. Within 1,000 miles, this giant vortex stirred up heaven and earth elemental energy and star mist as it rumbled over. However, this expansion didn't end. After all, compared to the entire continent of Mo Luo, 500 kilometers was insignificant. 3,000 kilometers, 5,000 kilometers, 10,000 kilometers, 30,000 kilometers, 100,000 kilometers, 300,000 kilometers, 1,000,000 kilometers. In the space millions of kilometers away from the continent of Mo Luo, the fog was shocking. Origin energy went crazy as it followed the vortex into the ground of the origin sect. Very few people in the cloud sea knew the origin of the star fog. It was as if this star fog had existed since the birth of the cloud sea. If one looked back, it seemed that before the celestial realm collapsed and the ancient celestial realm existed, this star fog still existed. What exactly was this star fog? This was a question that the cultivators of the cloud sea found difficult to answer. They only knew that it was because of this star fog that the cloud sea was filled with fierce beasts. Wang Lin didn't know what this star fog was, but as his bones continued to condense and fuse with the star fog, he felt a strange feeling, but he couldn't tell what it was. As origin energy from outside the continent of Mo Luo rushed in, the speed at which Wang Lin's leg bones condensed increased greatly. They grew until they surpassed the bone calamity, and, a moment later, his left leg took shape. His right leg was completely formed at this speed. Once all the bones in his body reformed, the bone calamity dissipated. However, this ancient god calamity wasn't over. The moment Wang Lin's bones recovered, blood vessels appeared and flesh grew from the bones. However, as soon as the flesh grew, it immediately collapsed. The flesh calamity of the first damaged 2 calamities silently descended. It stopped the flesh from growing, thus achieving its goal of wiping away the life force. Wang Lin was already prepared for this. The moment the flesh calamity descended, his avatar wiped away the blood from the corner of his mouth. His right hand reached at the void, and a crack to his storage space appeared. Fist-sized blood crystals flew out. These were the blood crystals he had obtained from the land of the ancient god. Wang Lin had used a portion to keep his original body alive, and he was going to use the rest here. At this moment, these blood crystals flew out and quickly entered Wang Lin's bones. The moment they landed, they entered his bones. The moment Wang Lin took out these blood crystals, the fierce beasts outside the continent of Mo Luo all stopped. They stared at the continent of Mo Luo and let out roars. Their eyes were filled with a rare madness. It was as if the blood crystals were a great tonic to them. They would do anything just to smell a vague scent. As these roars echoed, these fierce beasts immediately changed directions and charged at the continent of Mo Luo. There were rank 5, 6, and even 7 beasts among them. At this moment, they charged over in a frenzy. The Origin sect cultivators on the continent of Mo Luo were shocked by this series of events. When they saw the fierce beasts charging over, they couldn't help but awaken. Deep underground, Wang Lin's original body absorbed the ancient god heart. Lines of blood immediately appeared on his bones. Pieces of flesh absorbed the star fog and Origin energy and grew along the lines of blood. At this moment, the muffled roars of the fierce beasts came from underground. Wang Lin's avatar's eyes were filled with killing intent, and his original body's eyes were also filled with ghostly light. Cracking sounds echoed as his original body shrank to the size of a normal person. At the same time, his avatar rushed forward and fused with his original body once more. After fusing with his original body, Wang Lin suddenly raised his head and charged forward. Popping sounds echoed as he charged out of the earth. The moment he appeared, the countless fierce beasts on the continent of Mo Luo charged at him like crazy. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes, and he appeared next to an octopus-like beast. He raised his right hand and threw a punch. With a bang, the fierce beast trembled and coughed out blood. Its body immediately turned into a mist of blood, and its soul was shattered by this punch. However, an invisible energy came out from its collapsed body and quickly entered Wang Lin's body. This invisible energy was the vitality of the fierce beast. It was also what Wang Lin needed the most right now. He clearly felt the flesh and blood of his original body grow a bit faster after absorbing this vitality. Wang Lin's body flickered, and he charged at another fierce beast. He was so fast that he left behind afterimages. His powerful punch caused a rain of blood to fall from the sky of the continent of Mo Luo. The fierce beasts wanted to devour Wang Lin's original body's crystal blood, but before they could devour it, they all collapsed. At this moment, thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. Wang Lin stepped forward and appeared next to a giant python. The moment it opened its mouth to devour him, his right fist landed on the python's mouth. Popping sounds echoed as the python collapsed inch by inch, and its vitality entered Wang Lin's body. In a short period of time, 100 fierce beasts died. After absorbing their vitality, Wang Lin felt very comfortable. His eyes lit up, and he charged out once more. The fierce beasts collapsed one by one. When the cultivators hiding in the distance saw this, they were filled with shock and horror. This was especially true for Li Xiangdong's group of 4. Lu Yanfei was a bit better. After all, she was mentally prepared. However, Li Xiangdong stared dumbfoundedly at all of this, and the 2 old men beside him also gasped. Uncle Master. He is Uncle Master. That was a rank 6 fierce beast, but it was directly killed by Uncle Master's punch. At this moment, a beast's roar rang out from afar. In the starry mist, a lion beast with spikes all over its body came roaring over. It was nearly 200 meters long. The moment it appeared, the surrounding fierce beasts scattered as if they didn't dare to get within a certain range of it. Rank 8 sword lion. Li Xiangdong's pupil shrank, and the 2 old men beside him exclaimed. Even Lu Yanfei took a deep breath and revealed a nervous expression. Wang Lin suddenly raised his head and his eyes shined brightly. In the eyes of the surrounding cultivators, he charged out like a meteor toward the powerful rank 8 beast. His speed was faster than lightning. As he closed in on the fierce beast, Wang Lin raised his right leg and mercilessly kicked. A heaven-shaking rumble echoed, and the fierce beast's body suddenly exploded into a mist of blood. A large amount of vitality entered Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin stood in the sky and enjoyed the life force of the rank 8 fierce beast. He was like a god. The surroundings suddenly became quiet. The greed in the eyes of the fierce beasts was replaced by fear. The cultivators stared at this scene and almost couldn't believe their eyes. Level 8. Li Xiangdong was dumbfounded, his mind was blank. The 2 old men beside him were also dumbfounded, completely shocked. Chapter 1160. One kick instantly killed a rank 8 beast. Although this rank 8 beast could battle a peak nirvana cleanser cultivator, it wasn't a cultivator and couldn't use treasures. It could only rely on the law of the world to create spells. However, it was still a rank 8 beast. Even in the Cloud Sea, a cultivator that could instantly kill a rank 8 beast was enough to enter the ranks of powerful cultivators. Li Xiangdong and company stared dumbfoundedly at this. In their eyes, this uncle master that they had never seen before was filled with mystery and majesty. Even though they had doubts about Wang Lin's identity, at this moment, they chose to ignore it without any hesitation. With such a powerful cultivator in my origin sect, it is only a matter of time before the origin sect dominates the rank 5 region. Aside from Lu Yinfei, Li Xiangdong and the 2 elders looked at each other with excitement. If they knew that not only had a rank 8 beast been instantly killed by Wang Lin, but a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator from the rank 6 region had also died by Wang Lin's hand, the shock in their hearts would be even stronger. The greed of the fierce beasts that saw Wang Lin's power disappeared and was replaced by fear. They all scattered and were about to leave the continent of Mo Luo and return to the star system. Wang Lin didn't care about the surrounding cultivators' thoughts. At this moment, the life force of the rank 8 beast was fusing with his original body to resist the calamity. After several breaths of time, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he looked at the scattered fierce beasts. He took a step forward and instantly closed in on one of the escaping fierce beasts like a ray of death. He charged out and pierced through the body of the fierce beast, creating a rain of blood and life force. Light filled the sky as Wang Lin moved like lightning. Every time he moved, a fierce beast would collapse. A moment later, Wang Lin chased them out of the continent of Mo Luo and flashed across the star system. Miserable screams echoed across the star system. Any fierce beast attracted by the ancient god blood crystal was slaughtered. This slaughter lasted for 1 incense stick of time before it gradually ended. There were no more fierce beasts within hundreds of thousands of kilometers of the continent of Mo Luo. Only a few fierce beasts escaped with their memories of fear. They could never forget that there was a cultivator on the continent of Mo Luo that was like a god. The barrier around the continent of Mo Luo was repaired and opened once more. Everything seemed to have returned to normal, but the shock in the hearts of the origin sect cultivators was eternal. At this moment, outside the southern courtyard of the origin sect, Li Xiangdong, Lu Yinfei, and 2 other elders respectfully stood there. Although they had waited for a long time, the 4 of them didn't show any impatience. All the cultivators in the southern courtyard had been moved to the other 3 courtyards. Aside from Su Yun and Lu Yinfei, there were no other disciples in the southern courtyard. These herbs, were they all brought back by Grand Uncle Master? Li Xiangdong's gaze fell on the herbs in the courtyard. After getting confirmation from Su Yun, he became slightly excited. At this moment, deep inside the courtyard, Wang Lin was sitting there. His original body had returned to the size of a normal person and was silently cultivating. Most of his original body had recovered. Only a piece of flesh on his chest was still growing as he fought the final battle against the first trial and second calamity. Time slowly passed. 3 days later, there was a flash of light on Wang Lin's chest, and the flesh calamity dissipated. He had successfully passed the first trial and second calamity of the ancient god, 3 trials, 7 calamities. His original body slowly opened his eyes, revealing a very bright light. An invisible pressure spread out, and his skin became even rougher and his bones even harder. At this moment, his original body had truly become an ancient god and was no longer incomplete like before. After devouring the endless origin energy and the mysterious star fog, his original body's cultivation level increased greatly after passing the first calamity. Another star appeared next to the 5 stars between his eyebrows. This star was still a bit blurry and hadn't fully formed, but just this alone made Wang Lin ecstatic. An ancient god was not like a cultivator. The difficulty of increasing 1 star was simply too great. Over the past 1,000 years, Wang Lin had experienced many hardships and many fortuitous encounters to allow his original body to reach 5 stars. Although the 6th star was still blurry, the power his original body could display was far stronger than before. More importantly, once he became a 6-star ancient god, he could form his own Wang Yu. He revealed a smile as his original body continued to sit underground and absorb origin energy to form Wang Yu. Wang Lin left this place and appeared inside the house in the courtyard. He let out a deep breath. Wang Lin was in a very good mood. His original body had successfully passed the divine retribution, which had increased his strength in the Cloud Sea. With his original body, killing early-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivators wouldn't be as difficult as before. However, the gap between early-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivators and peak late-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivators is very large. I wonder who will be stronger after my original body fuses with a mid-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly as he pushed open the door and walked out. In the courtyard, the moment Wang Lin appeared, a gentle breeze blew by and landed on his face. It was very comfortable. Due to the activation of the protective barrier, the sky became blue and one could vaguely see white clouds. Looking at the herbs in the courtyard, Wang Lin made a decision. He was going to use the unique alchemy method of the Cloud Sea to increase his cultivation level as quickly as possible. While pondering, Wang Lin's gaze fell on the 5 people outside the courtyard, and he slowly said, "All of you come in." His voice was calm, but it contained a hint of majesty. When it landed in the ears of the people outside the courtyard, they all took a deep breath. They nervously and respectfully walked into the courtyard. Su Yin was even more nervous as she followed Lu Yinfei in. The moment Li Xiangdong and company entered the courtyard, they respectfully said, "Disciple greets Grand Uncle Master." I didn't know Grand Uncle Master had returned, so I asked Grand Uncle Master to punish me for my negligence. After a brief conversation, everyone left. Su Yin could no longer live here, so she followed Lu Yinfei to the southern pavilion. The entire southern courtyard had been classified as a restricted area, and no disciple was allowed to enter. At the same time, under Wang Lin's order, a large amount of pill recipes and high-quality pills were brought over. However, these pills were no longer good to Wang Lin. After observing the pill recipes for a bit, he only kept the pill recipes and let others take the pills. While Wang Lin was studying pill recipes, far away from the continent of Mo Luo, a strict search began due to Shi Luoxing's death. The cultivators of the various sects in the Rank 6 region were scattered across the Rank 5 region. They searched the floating continents, and some even went to regions below Rank 5. As the Rank 6 region moved, news of the jade and pill recipes gradually spread. This shocked the Rank 7 region and even caught the attention of the Rank 8 region. Rays of light flew out from the Rank 7 and 8 regions toward the sealed wild continent in the Rank 5 region. In the deepest part of the Cloud Sea, the fog here was very dense. Even a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator's divine sense could only cover 500 feet. If one rashly charged into the fog, it would be like their eyes were sealed and they would easily get lost in the fog, unable to leave. Here lived the most powerful fierce beasts in the Cloud Sea. They hid inside the fog, and some even had spells that allowed them to fuse with the fog to cultivate the law of the heavens. If a cultivator didn't provoke them, they wouldn't take the initiative to attack. Compared to them, the few cultivation planets in the fog were like outsiders. They were insignificant. However, The power inside these cultivation planets was heaven-shaking. Even the powerful, fierce beasts dreaded them and wouldn't easily get close. This was the Rank 9 region of the Cloud Sea. There were 7 planets at the edge of the Rank 9 region that formed the Big Dipper. There were layers of protection between the 7 planets, making them indistinguishable from one another. At this moment, on the planet that represented the head of the Big Dipper, there was a prairie under millions of layers of protection, and there was a towering building on the prairie. The building was actually a statue of a cultivator pointing up at the heavens, glaring angrily, as if he were cursing the heavens. There was also an indescribably majestic air about him. The grassland was quiet, and only a few small spirit beasts would occasionally appear. They would play with each other before quickly moving far away. After a long time, a rainbow whistled past from the distant horizon, rapidly approaching this place. There was a woman inside the ray of light. She was very beautiful, but the strange thing was that she had blue hair. In the entire Cloud Sea, only one person had this hair color. That was Li Qianmei of the Rank 9 Heaven-Breaking sect. He cultivated at the age of 5, reached the foundation building at the age of 7, the core formation at the age of 19, the nascent soul at the age of 26, the soul formation at the age of 37, the nascent soul transformation at the age of 45, the ascendant at the age of 61, and the peak of the Yin Void Realm after cultivating for 100 years. Then, the Heaven-Breaking sect did their best to train him. He cultivated for more than 400 years and reached the peak of Nirvana Scryer. Then he reached the mid-stage of Nirvana Cleanser in 300 years. After more than 500 years of experience, he became the youngest Nirvana Shatterer cultivator in the Heaven-Breaking sect. She had cultivated for more than 1,200 years and had reached the late stage of Nirvana Shatterer. In the Cloud Sea star system, the name Li Qianmei was a legend. Disciple Li Qianmei greets Grandmaster. The rainbow dissipated in front of the statue, revealing a graceful woman. Sima Mo's jade has appeared. Take a trip to the Rank 5 region. If possible, find the person who obtained the jade and bring them back. An ancient voice filled with melancholy came from the statue, and ripples echoed across the world. Li Qianmei respectfully nodded and left. There was a white-haired old man sitting inside the statue. Many parts of his body were festering, and his eyes were filled with reminiscence. After a long time, he shook his head and let out a sigh. Senior brother Sima, perhaps teacher was wrong back then. Chapter 1161. The entire continent of Mo Luo calmed down. Wang Lin spent all day refining pills. The disciples of the Origin sect would occasionally hear the sounds of pills exploding in the forbidden area of the southern courtyard, but no one dared to enter. When they passed by the southern courtyard, their gazes were filled with respect. Wang Lin had also studied the beastbone pill recipe in detail, but his expression was very gloomy. He pondered for a long time about the effects of the pill recipe, ignoring whether or not it was true. Just the majority of the herbs mentioned were things he had never heard of before. After looking through the records of the Origin sect, Wang Lin found some clues. There were 3 herbs: Star Transformation Wood, Dragon Grass, and Annihilation Flower. They all existed tens of thousands of years ago, and even then, they were extremely rare. Now, they were basically extinct. However, there were some records in the records of the Origin sect. It seemed that there was still a small piece of Star Transformation Wood in the main Rank 8 sect. Most importantly, refining this Black Void pill required the souls of 9 peak, sure, Sand Rank beasts. Only after they were fused could the pill be refined. If that was all there was to it, it wouldn't be a big deal. However, the chances of successfully concocting the Nirvana Void pill were extremely low. Furthermore, during the process of concocting the pill, one needed to use the beast bone on which the pill was engraved as a guide. Every time one failed, the color of the beast bone would turn a little darker. When the beast bone turned completely black, it would be impossible to successfully concoct the pill. Once one succeeded, the beast bone would dissipate and become part of the pill. Looking at the beast bone in his hand, although it wasn't completely black, it was already faintly dark. It would likely be discarded after a few uses. This beast bone has clearly been refined several times before, but no one succeeded. Otherwise, the pill recipe would have disappeared a long time ago. Instead of saying that the herbs and beast souls are precious, it's more accurate to say that this beast bone is strange. I just don't know what kind of fierce beast this bone is. However, even if there's a sliver of a chance that the pill's effect is real, I still have to try it. Wang Lin held the beast bone and carefully observed it for a moment. After pondering for a moment, he put it away in his storage space. Another item appeared in his hand. It was the jade slip he had found along with the pill formula. As he scanned it with his divine sense, a strange expression appeared on Wang Lin's face. After a moment of silence, he reached into his bag of holding, and the poisonous old woman's nascent soul flew out. With a calm expression, Wang Lin's finger touched the old woman's soul several times. Every time his finger touched the old woman, she would tremble and become weaker. A moment later, Wang Lin placed his right hand on top of the poisoned old woman's nascent soul. His divine sense swept out along his right hand, heading straight for the poisoned old woman's nascent soul. Memories entered Wang Lin's mind, including the 5 poison sects poison refining method and everything she had experienced in her life. In the end, Wang Lin found memories related to the pill recipe and the jade slip. Time slowly passed. When night arrived, Wang Lin raised his right hand and put the weak but not dead origin soul back into his storage space. He looked at the jade and began to ponder. From the poisonous old woman's memories, Wang Lin learned about what happened at the Cloud Sea Star system 18,000 years ago. He also understood the use of this jade. This jade didn't contain any spells or cultivation methods, only an identity token of the heaven-breaking sect. There's a mark on it, a mark of the head disciple of the heaven-breaking sect from 18,000 years ago. This person's name was Sima Mo. If there were no accidents, he would have been the next sect master of the heaven-breaking sect 18,000 years ago. It was him who took the beast bone recipe and a portion of the sect members to leave the heaven-breaking sect and disappear into the star system. 18,000 years ago, the heaven-breaking sect that entered the rank 9 region had very complicated feelings about the people that left. When they learned that this group of people had suffered heavy casualties and then disappeared without a trace, the sect master of the heaven-breaking sect, who was Sima Mo's teacher, left behind an order that had been passed down for tens of thousands of years. In the future, anyone who returns to the heaven-breaking sect with Sima Mo's token will be accepted as a disciple of the sect master. This order spread throughout the Cloud Sea and attracted the attention of many cultivators. For the chance to ascend to the heavens in a single step, they all searched for clues about the missing members of the heaven-breaking sect. However, as time passed, no one found anything, and the matter gradually died down. It wasn't until the 5 poison sects spy in the Clear Flower sect reported Luoxing's actions and speculation. Originally, the 5 poison sect didn't pay too much attention to this matter. After all, it had been too long and the clue was likely fake. They only sent a few people to investigate, and the poisonous old woman was the leader. No one expected this clue to be real. Wang Lin silently looked at the jade. After a long time, he put away. Perhaps this will be of great use to me in the future. Wang Lin no longer thought about the jade or the pill recipe. He calmed down and immersed himself in alchemy. During his trip to the wild continent, not only had he harvested a large amount of herbs, he had also collected a large amount of beast souls. These beast souls were often rank 5, and they were very suitable for Wang Lin's current cultivation level. There were also some beast souls inside his storage space. These were the souls of the Clear Flower sect disciples he had killed on the wild continent, and were collected by the woman in silver. Similarly, there was a spirit snake in his storage space. This spirit snake was the poisonous old woman's spiritual beast, and it had already reached the peak of rank 6. Aside from these, the highest ranked beast in Wang Lin's storage space was the soul of the rank 8 beast that he had killed in an instant. This soul was rather precious, so Wang Lin didn't destroy it. Instead, he took the pill from the Gui Yuan sect's temple. After failing 3 times, he finally fused the soul with the pill and formed a rank 8 soul-separating pill. After searching through the poisonous old woman's memories, Wang Lin found a mutated beast refining method that interested him very much. This beast refinement method was created by a prodigy of the Five Venoms sect. He used a formation to form a prison and put in some beast souls. Then, he used poison to make these beast souls devour each other and give birth to a mutated high-grade soul. However, this method had a big drawback, which was that the refined mutant beast souls could no longer devour ordinary souls. Only mutant beast souls that were refined could devour each other. This phenomenon was a huge blow to the Five Poison sect. Moreover, the success rate of refining beast souls was not high. The higher the rank, the harder it was to refine. For example, if one wanted to refine a rank 9 mutated beast soul, they would need to continuously refine and devour a large number of rank 8 mutated beast souls, and each mutated rank 8 mutated beast soul would need a large number of rank 7 mutated beast souls, and so on. Even if one could accidentally refine a high-ranked beast soul, this soul would need to be nourished by a large number of heavenly treasures before it could be used as medicine. Moreover, there were failures when it was used as medicine to refine pills. Every time it failed, the beast soul would become much weaker. This was something Wang Lin knew. When he refined the first pill, he had failed more than 10 times before he succeeded. Even though he succeeded, the beast soul within the pill had mostly dissipated, and the effects of the pill were much weaker. Even the Five Poison sect had to give up in the end. Their sect couldn't withstand this kind of consumption. Not to mention them, even rank 7 and rank 8 sects rarely had such consumption. Even if there were, with the strength of the sect itself, there was no need to refine the beast souls. Perhaps it would save a lot of trouble to just go and capture them. After seeing this method, Wang Lin secretly calculated it and couldn't help but be shocked by the consumption. However, after carefully pondering it, he decided to give it a try. According to the method from the poisonous old woman's memories, Wang Lin used several days to barely refine a few portions. Wang Lin didn't choose the origin sect as his test location. Instead, he dug out a cave in a mountain range on the continent of Mo. After placing down a large amount of restrictions, he sealed some rank 5 beast souls inside and sprinkled poison. After observing for a few days, he found that the beast souls had indeed begun to devour each other. So he added more restrictions and returned to the origin sect. After calmly cultivating for a few days, Wang Lin took out the pills he had refined, especially the rank 8 pills. The first one he swallowed was a rank 5 pill. The beast souls couldn't resist being devoured by Wang Lin's origin soul, so they immediately dissipated and fused with Wang Lin's origin soul. This caused Wang Lin to enter a strange state. As Wang Lin swallowed the rank 5 pills, he vaguely saw fierce beasts being born. They worshipped the heavens, absorbed the essence of the world, and comprehended the laws of the world. The beast souls inside the rank 5 pills couldn't help Wang Lin much. He only swallowed them to familiarize himself with this method of borrowing beast souls to comprehend the heavens. After the rank 5 pills, Wang Lin swallowed the rank 6 pills. The rank 6 beast souls inside had the cultivation of an early-stage nirvana cleanser cultivator. After swallowing them, Wang Lin's domain began to fluctuate. It was as if he had turned into a fierce beast and gradually comprehended the laws of the world. Wang Lin was immersed in this seemingly real and illusory world. He was searching for his own Tao, searching for the existence and eternity between true and false. After an unknown amount of time, when there was only the rank 8 pill left in Wang Lin's hand, he awakened from that strange state. He looked ahead with a confused expression and muttered, "What's this?" Using the power of one person to prove one's Tao is the point. Using the power of many people to prove one's Tao is the surface. The pills of the Cloud Sea are not good fortune. Instead, they give cultivators the chance to search for the Tao again and again. Using beast souls is another method to search for the Tao, to search for the laws of heaven and earth. However, compared to the thunder and rain realms. The Cloud Sea uses this method to shorten the process of comprehending the Tao. However, beasts are beasts after all. The heavenly Tao they comprehend is only one side, and there is no way to clearly trace back to the source, unless they use human souls to refine pills, or there's an existence that transcends the word beast. Otherwise, he would need to consume a large amount of pills in order to find the comprehension he needed. This Tao is like a thought, and everyone's thoughts are different. If you want to enrich your own thoughts, aside from your own comprehension, you also need the comprehension of others to verify it. The cultivators of the Cloud Sea chose beast souls, just like how Tian Yunzi chose as many disciples. While Wang Lin was in a state of confusion, rays of light closed in on the continent of Mo Luo. The cultivators of the Rank 6 region were closely searching the continent of Mo Luo and entered the protective light barrier. I came back late from the hospital and didn't update on time. I hope everyone can understand. Chapter 1162. The Rank 6 region's 5 poison sect was one of the more powerful Rank 6 sects and was on par with the Clear Flower sect. There's a lot of friction between the two sects and endless disputes. Zhou Hai was a core disciple of the 5 poison sect. Although his cultivation level wasn't as high as the poisonous old woman's, he was still at the early stage of Nirvana Cleanser. He was one of the most powerful people in the 5 poison sect and was valued by the sect. At that moment, his expression was gloomy and there was a blue light flashing in his right eye. The blue light looked beautiful, but in truth, it was caused by practicing the purplish-blue poison attack of 5 Venom's sect. Fellow Taoist, Zhou has been gloomy the entire time. Those who don't know wouldn't be able to see any clues. A strange voice came from a black-robed cultivator next to Zhou Hai. This black-robed cultivator was a man, but there was some makeup on his face, making him look the same as his voice. Zhou Hai's eyes flashed coldly. He stared at the black-robed cultivator and said, "Zhao Yu, I've endured it all this way. If you continue to mock me, don't blame me for being impolite. The 5 Venoms sect sure is awe-inspiring. I like to see if your 5 Venoms sect dares to start a war with my Devil Collection Path." The black-clothed cultivator smiled faintly. However, his smile was extremely cold. The blue light in Zhou Hai's right eye thickened. Right at this moment, a cold shout came from beside the two. "Enough! The 3 of us represent our sects to search for the traitors of 5 Venoms, not for internal strife." The person who spoke was a middle-aged man at the mid-stage of Nirvana Cleanser. After he spoke, Zhou Hai and Chen Yujun silently pondered. They looked at each other with hostility and let out cold snorts as they suppressed the origin energy they were about to attack. This middle-aged man was a core disciple of the number 1 sect in the Rank 6 region, the Tao Spell sect. Due to the matter with the poisonous old woman, the 5 poison sect found it very difficult to explain. In the end, they paid a great price to barely get past this matter. They also had to send out their core disciples to be taken as hostages by the various sections. In name, they were there to help find the poisonous old woman, but in truth, they were there to monitor her. If they were unable to find the poisonous old woman in a short period of time, the 5 poison sect would face a great crisis. Behind the 3 of them were disciples of various sections. They turned into rays of light that broke through the barrier of the continent of Mo Luo and descended. "Zhou Hai, Zhao Yu, the 2 of you come with me to the origin sect." The other disciples scatter and search the continent of Mo Luo. Don't let go of a single place. If you find anything, immediately alert us. The middle-aged man's voice was calm, but it was filled with unquestionable majesty. The surrounding disciples hurriedly agreed and spread out to search. They had been doing this every time they came close to a continent, so they were quite familiar with the way of light carriages. As for the middle-aged man and the other 2, they released all of their cultivation and rushed toward the Gue Yuan sect. 3 streaks of light shot through the sky, emitting thunderous rumbles. It didn't take long for the 3 of them to arrive above the Origin sect in such an arrogant manner. The cultivators of the Origin sect naturally noticed them. Under the lead of Lu Yinfei, Li Xiangdong, and the other two elders, they all left the Origin sect to greet them. The four of them had heard about the matter of the Rank 5 region and knew that the Rank 6 region had invaded and was searching the Rank 5 region. However, with Lu Yinfei's cultivation and status, they didn't know what they were searching for. Li Xiangdong took a deep breath. As the four of them closed in, he clasped his hands and said, "The Origin sect greets the upper domain sections." The two elders beside him and Lu Yinfei all clasped their hands. The middle-aged man clasped his hands and calmly said, "I'm the Dao Spell Sect's Feng Peishan. I didn't expect to see such a beauty here." The mysterious man in black looked at Lu Yinfei with a smile that wasn't a smile and said, "Little beauty, the Devil Collection sect Zhaoyu is me. 5 poison sects Zhou Hai." Zhou Hai's expression was still gloomy. After he finished speaking, his right eye flashed blue, and his gaze swept past the cultivators of the Origin sect. Li Xiangdong took a deep breath and looked at the two elders beside him. They all saw the seriousness in each other's eyes. These 3 sects occupied almost 40% of the power in the Rank 6 region. They were so powerful that they could destroy the Origin sect with just a thought. If the 3 of them were like this, there was no need to talk about the other disciples. Under Zhou Hai's gaze, the disciples all trembled and lowered their heads to avoid his gaze. Only Lu Yinfei remained calm and didn't speak. Li Xiangdong suppressed his emotions and forced a smile. He clasped his hands and said, "I wonder why the upper domain sects are here. If you need my Origin sect's help, the Origin sect will do its best." Zhou Hai let out a cold snort and stepped forward. He arrived next to an Origin sect disciple, and his right hand moved like lightning. The Origin sect disciple's body trembled, and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. His body was thrown far away, and he fell to the ground. This sudden scene caused the expressions of the Origin sect's cultivators to change. Su Yun glared angrily as she charged toward the Origin sect disciple and supported him. The Origin sect disciple's face was pale, and his body trembled. There was a blue glow on his face as if he was enduring great pain, but he couldn't make a sound. Lu Yinfei's eyes were cold as she slowly said, "Upper domain sects is injuring a nascent soul. Disciple your purpose here?" Feng Peishan revealed a smile and shook his head. "Fellow cultivators of the Origin sect, there is no need to be nervous. This matter is of great importance. All the sects in the Rank 6 region have been mobilized to find one person. This person is good at hiding, and the only clue is that he has a poison attack. Just now, fellow cultivator Zhou acted because there was a trace of a poison attack on your Origin sect disciple." Lu Yinfei's eyes became even colder. She raised her right hand and pointed at the injured Origin sect disciple. His body trembled, and a vortex appeared between his eyebrows. Shortly after, his nascent soul flew out. There was a small, red snake's soul coiled around his nascent soul. This was his original spirit beast. However, at this moment, the small snake was very weak, as if it was about to die. Even the nascent soul of the Origin sect disciple was almost transparent. Zhou Hai's expression was still gloomy as his gaze swept past the nascent soul. His right eye shined blue as he looked at the remaining Origin sect disciples. A moment later, he suddenly turned around and took another step towards Su Yun, who was supporting the injured disciple. Su Yun's expression changed. With her cultivation level, she couldn't resist at all. Just at this moment, killing intent appeared on Lu Yinfei's face, and she closed in. Her right hand formed a seal, and she waved her hand. A gust of cold wind shot toward Zhou Hai. Zhou Hai sneered, and his right eye shined blue. 7 blue marks appeared and surrounded his body. He didn't even look at the cold wind and walked forward without hesitation. A thunderous rumble echoed. The moment the cold wind closed in on Zhou Hai, it suddenly collapsed. It wasn't able to stop Zhou Hai at all. In an instant, Zhou Hai arrived before Su Yun. The killing intent on Lu Yinfei's face became even stronger. Su Yun was her disciple, and she couldn't bear to watch someone seriously injure her. Even Li Xiangdong and the 2 elders had gloomy expressions. They wanted to stop Zhou Hai. After all, Su Yun wasn't an ordinary disciple. She was a core disciple of the Origin sect. Just at this moment, Sun Peishon's eyes shined brightly, and he let out a roar. People of the Origin sect, if you continue to interfere with our search, you will have to bear the consequences. That shout shook the heavens and the earth. The heavens and the earth rumbled, and thunder roared. It was as if that voice contained the laws of the heavens and the earth, as well as a strange divine ability. Even the earth was faintly trembling. The clouds in the sky rolled backwards, transforming into a large amount of ripples that scattered in all directions. Amidst the shout, the disciples of the Gui Yuan sect trembled violently. Blood flowed out of their mouths and noses, and their ears buzzed. Even Lu Yinfei and Li Xiangdong's group of 4 couldn't help but stop for a moment and reveal looks of shock. Word of law, Li Xiangdong took a deep breath. Zhao Yu's eyes were filled with disdain. His gaze fell on the various pavilions of the Gui Yuan sect below. Suddenly, he frowned and looked at the southern court of the Gui Yuan sect. At this moment, Zhou Hai stared at the pale Su Yun and sinisterly said, "Little girl, you have the smell of chameleon grass on you. This chameleon grass only grows in the nests of rank 6 fierce beasts and can't grow anywhere else. With the cultivation of your Origin sect, it's impossible for you to obtain it. Furthermore, the smell of the poisonous grass on you is still fresh. Where did you get it?" Su Yun's face was pale. The blue light in Zhou Hai's right eye brought with it a dense pressure that shook her heart. She bit her lower lip and looked at her master not far away. Zhou Hai revealed a gloomy smile, and his gaze also fell on Lu Yinfei. "Fellow cultivator Lu, I want to hear your explanation," Lu Yinfei calmly said. "As juniors, we don't have the cultivation to obtain herbs from the nest of rank 6 fierce beasts. However, that doesn't mean the elders of the Origin sect can't do it. This chameleon grass was obtained by Grand Uncle Master." "Grand Uncle Master?" Zhou Hai's eyes lit up with contempt. His divine sense spread out, and he slowly looked down at the southern court of the Origin sect. He took a step forward and charged toward the southern court. He moved very quickly and entered the forbidden area of the Origin sect in the blink of an eye. The moment he entered the southern courtyard, Zhou Hai's body trembled and his eyes were filled with shock. It was as if the southern courtyard and the outside world were 2 different worlds. After he entered, he immediately felt an aura that made his heart tremble at the edge of the southern courtyard. There was an ordinary-looking herb garden there that made his heart tremble. It was as if there was a powerful, fierce beast inside the courtyard. Just the aura it gave off was enough to chill Zhou Hai's blood. Those who hurt others will be hurt by others. The cold, emotionless voice blew past like a gust of wind, landing in Zhou Hai's ears. Zhou Hai's expression greatly changed, and his face immediately paled. A strong sense of danger enveloped his body, and he unhesitatingly retreated, wanting to leave this terrifying southern courtyard. But at this moment, Zhou Hai suddenly felt an unimaginable impact pressing down on his chest like a mountain. With a bang, Zhou Hai spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body was thrown back. Popping sounds rang out from his body as blood sprayed out from his body. The clothes on his chest were torn, revealing a dark palm print that was deeply imprinted on his chest. Chapter 1163. The clothes on his chest fluttered and intersected with the blood mist, contrasting with the black palm print. Zhou Hai's body was thrown out of the southern courtyard, and at this moment, an invisible life force came out of his body through the black palm print. In just a moment, Zhou Hai's body shrank until he was like a skeleton. The life force that came out seemed to be pulled by a force toward the injured Origin sect nascent soul disciple. His body trembled, and the blue light on his face dissipated. He returned to normal. With a bang, Zhou Hai's body landed on the ground. His face was ashen, and his body continued to twitch. His eyes were filled with fear. The surroundings were completely silent, terrifyingly silent. The Devil Collection sect's Zhao Yu gasped, and his eyes were filled with shock. He stared at the southern courtyard and subconsciously retreated several dozen feet. He didn't expect the Origin sect's Grand Uncle Master to have such cultivation. Thinking about how he had flirted with Lu Yinfei, Zhao Yu felt his scalp go numb. It wasn't that he coveted Lu Yinfei's beauty, It was just that his personality was like this. Along the way, all the rank 5 sects have been very polite and respectful to him. The Origin sect actually has such a powerful expert. Feng Peishan's pupils shrank, and his expression became serious. An old monster that could seriously injure Zhou Hai couldn't be ordinary. Who gave you the right to injure someone from my Origin sect? His cold voice reverberated through the world. It didn't have Feng Peishan's command, nor was there any world-shaking roar. But these calm words were like sharp blades that stabbed into Feng Peishan, Zhao Yu, and Zhou Hai's hearts. Just like the silence around them, these words contained a terrifying pressure. A burst of rustling footsteps came from the southern courtyard, and Wang Lin slowly walked out with his hands behind his back. He didn't have white hair, but a head of black hair that fluttered without any wind. There was no anger on his face, and his eyes were like the sun, moon, and stars. Anyone who looked at him would feel like their origin soul was being sucked away. They would feel like they were in an illusion, and they wouldn't be able to tell what was real and what was fake. This feeling was very mysterious. No one could explain it, but they could clearly feel it. It was as if everything in the world could disappear and change with just a thought from this person. It was a cycle between true and false. The Tao of Will. Feng Peishan's face turned pale. His cultivation level was the highest, and he was also a core disciple of the number 1 ranked 6 sect. He immediately recognized that the martial grand uncle of the Gui Yuan sect was displaying the Tao of intent. What made him feel even more terrified was that the other party clearly did not do it on purpose, but rather naturally. The Tao moved with him, and the Tao followed his words. This realm was much, much higher than the law of words. The main focus of their Tao sect was the word Tao. In Feng Peishan's memory, only the supreme great elder of the sect had this kind of divine ability. When he stands there, he is the Tao. Feng Peishan subconsciously took a few steps back, and the words that the grand elder had once said appeared in his mind. You? Wang Lin calmly walked over to Zhou Hai, who was struggling to get up. He looked down at him as if he was looking at an ant. Zhou Hai's body trembled, and when he subconsciously looked at Wang Lin's eyes, his body trembled even more violently. His vision became illusory, as if the person who injured him had become the world, and he was just a weak existence in this world. His heart pounded, and his mind was in turmoil. He couldn't see through the cultivation of the person in front of him, but at this moment, he felt that all the elders and even the sect leader of the 5 Poisons sect couldn't make him feel this terrified. Withdrawing his gaze, Wang Lin looked at the sky, at Devil Collection sect Zhao Yu, and calmly said, "Were you?" Zhao Yu subconsciously licked his lips. He looked at Zhou Hai, who was struggling to get up, and then looked at Wang Lin. His expression immediately became respectful. Junior Devil Collection sects Zhao Yu greets Senior. Zhao Yu immediately cupped his fists. His expression was extremely respectful, and he hid his fear. However, he didn't dare look into Wang Lin's eyes. "Are you?" Wang Lin's gaze fell on Feng Peishan from the Tao Method sect. Feng Peishan's face was pale. He respectfully cupped his fists and said, "Please forgive me, Senior. You said that if they tried to stop you from injuring my Origin sect's disciples, they would have to bear the consequences." Wang Lin coldly looked at Feng Peishan. Feng Peishan's forehead was covered in sweat. He didn't dare look into Wang Lin's eyes. He had a feeling that if the person in front of him became angry, he would instantly die with his cultivation. After a moment of silence, Feng Peishan clenched his teeth. He raised his right hand and hit his chest. With a bang, his body trembled and he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. His face became even paler, and his Origin soul trembled. He was injured. "Senior, can you calm down?" Feng Peishan bitterly said without wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he looked at Zhao Yu. Zhao Yu bitterly smiled. How could he dare to provoke someone that even Feng Peishan didn't dare to provoke? Moreover, he hadn't even seen this person attack before Zhou Hai was seriously injured and thrown away. Even if he resisted, it would be useless. Zhao Yu clenched his teeth and also hit his chest. He coughed out blood and retreated a few steps. He clasped his hands at Wang Lin and respectfully said, "Senior, please calm down." This scene made the surrounding Origin sect disciples very excited. They looked at Wang Lin with fervent respect. Li Xiangdong and company were the same. Wang Lin calmly said, "You guys can continue to search." "No need," Feng Peishan quickly said, but before he could finish, he was interrupted by Wang Lin. "After you finish searching, immediately scram from the continent of Mo Luo, as you command." Feng Peishan bitterly smiled. He knew that their actions had angered the Origin sect's Grand Uncle Master. The reason he hadn't killed the three of them was because he was worried about their sections. If the sect finds out that we have offended an old monster with powerful Dao, we will be punished. Even the sect won't easily offend such a powerful cultivator. Not to mention, this senior could seriously injure someone with Zhou Hai's cultivation with just a wave of his hand. If this senior wanted to kill someone, Zhou Hai would already be dead. Feng Peishan let out a sigh and remembered what his teacher had said before he left. His teacher had said that there was always someone stronger in the Cloud Sea. There were many powerful old monsters hidden in the Cloud Sea, and there would definitely be some in the Rank 5 region. Also, every Rank 5 sect had existed for many years, and there might be some who had left long ago but still had heaven-shaking cultivation. These people might not be famous, but if they were encountered, they had to be cautious. That was why when they encountered these old monsters, they had to be polite and explain their purpose. Don't easily offend them. Feng Peishan respectfully left, but after pondering a bit, he still carefully searched the continent of Mo Luo. In the end, all the disciples gathered together. After finding nothing, he supported Zhou Hai and Zhao Yu's disciples and quickly left the continent of Mo Luo. It wasn't until they charged out of the protective barrier and entered space that Feng Peishan and Zhao Yu relaxed. As for Zhou Hai, he had swallowed some pills and recovered a bit. He could barely fly by himself, but his face was still pale and there was a hint of lingering fear in his eyes. Feng Peishan said, "Fellow cultivator Zhou, tell me in detail how that senior attacked after we entered the southern courtyard." Zhou Hai still had lingering fear from that life and death situation. After pondering a bit, he whispered that senior was at least at the mid-stage of Nirvana Shatterer. "I didn't see him attack, but after I entered the southern courtyard, I felt an unimaginable amount of Origin energy gather. It turned into a palm print and landed on my chest." As he spoke, he looked down at his chest. The palm print was still black. Zhao Yu suddenly asked, "Was it a poison attack?" Zhou Hai shook his head and whispered, "There was no sign of a poison attack on that senior, so he wasn't the poisonous old woman. That poisonous old woman didn't have this kind of aura or cultivation level." I secretly observed the cultivators of the Origin sect. Their respect and sense of glory didn't seem fake. That senior should indeed be the Origin sect's Grand Uncle Master. That is indeed the case. Feng Peishan nodded and said in a low voice, "If he really is someone related to the poisonous old woman, or if he knows about the pill formula and the jade slip, then this senior would definitely not act in such a manner. He would most likely hide himself and only appear after we finish searching. After all, with his cultivation, it would be very easy for him to do so. He also wouldn't have injured Zhou Hai and made me and Zhao Yu pay a certain price." Zhao Yu nodded. Thinking about what had just happened, he still felt lingering fear and said, "The Origin sect's Grand Uncle Master's cultivation level is too high. Even in the Rank 6 region, this person is enough to make everyone pay attention to him. Fortunately, we only injured him and didn't kill him otherwise." As he spoke, he looked at Zhou Hai. Zhou Hai silently pondered, but his heart was cold and filled with lingering fear. When we arrived, we saw people from the Purple Dao sect. Their target seemed to be the Origin sect, and they seemed to have some personal grudges. However, I fear the Purple Dao sect's Lu Yunsong is going to kick an iron plate this time. Zhao Yu chuckled and seemed to be rejoicing in Zhou Hai's misfortune. "Lu Yunsong is not simple," Feng Peishan softly said. He didn't seem to want to talk about this person anymore and said, "Forget it. The three of us should be more cautious in the future. Let's go to another continent." The three of them turned into rays of light and flew off into the distance with the disciples of the other sects behind them. Someone that caught the attention of the head elder can't be simple. This Liu Yunsong's origin seems to be very mysterious. Feng Peishan shook his head and no longer thought about this matter. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze from the horizon. Before he acted, he had already thought things through. Time was short on the wild continent. Although he had already changed targets, he still left behind some clues. He couldn't erase these clues, nor did he have time to do so. Most importantly, the more he erased them, the more clues he would leave behind. Forget it, the most important thing right now is to increase my cultivation level as soon as possible. If someone finds me, I'll just head to the Wind Celestial Realm early. From the memories of the poisonous old woman and the time he spent with the Origin sect, Wang Lin knew that the Wind Celestial Realm didn't need to be opened and was open all year round. The entrance was in the northern part of the Rank 8 region, but almost no one dared to go too deep into the Wind Celestial Realm. At most, they would search for treasures on the outskirts. This Wind Celestial Realm is the ace I prepared for Tuo, son. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. It was because he valued the Wind Celestial Realm that he had chosen the beast refining method from the poisonous old woman's memories. Once he succeeded, Wang Lin's chances of entering the Wind Celestial Realm would be even greater. Wang Lin had placed a restriction on the beast refining method, so unless one's understanding of restrictions surpassed his, it would be impossible to see through it. Also, with just a thought, everything inside would be destroyed, so he didn't need to worry about others finding out. Chapter 1164. In the Rank 5 region of the Cloud Sea, there was a spirit beast more than 3,000 feet tall in the star fog. This spirit beast looked like a tiger, and it had a sharp horn 100 feet long that gave off a cold glow. There were more than 30 people sitting on the back of this spirit beast. They all had calm expressions and were cultivating with their eyes closed. There were men and women among them, and their bodies gave off fluctuations of cultivation. Before them, there was a man standing next to the horn of the spirit beast. This man was middle-aged, and his purple robe moved without any wind. He had his hands behind his back as he silently looked at the fog ahead. No one knew what he was thinking. Behind this man was an old man who respectfully followed. He was accompanying this man as he looked forward. The old man softly said, "Sect Master, according to the speed of the tiger, we will arrive on the continent of Mo in one more day." These people were cultivators of the Purple Tao sect. Originally, it wouldn't take them that long to arrive on the continent of Mo. However, due to the matter of the pill recipe in Jade, the sects of the Rank 6 region had invaded, so the Purple Tao sect had to delay their arrival. After dealing with all the trivial matters and cooperating with the search of the Rank 6 region, the Purple Tao sect immediately set off toward the Origin sect. His gaze was still on the fog ahead, as if he was thinking. After a long time, the middle-aged man nodded and calmly said, "There must be an answer to everything that needs to be resolved." The old man was startled and didn't understand the meaning behind the words of the most respected person in the Purple Tao sect. In his mind, this trip to the Origin sect would be easy, so there was no need for an answer. "Sect Master." The old man was about to speak when the middle-aged man shook his head and said, "You don't understand. A great chaos is about to rise, and the Cloud Sea will no longer be calm." The old man silently pondered and didn't speak. For a pill recipe in Jade, not only are Rank 6 cultivators rushing over, even Rank 7 and 8 cultivators are rushing over. Is it worth it? The middle-aged man seemed to be talking to himself, and there was a hint of gloom between his eyebrows. The old man softly said, "That pill recipe in Jade are too valuable, so it is inevitable that people will be tempted. That pill formula is an inauspicious item. The first time it appeared, it caused a calamity in the Cloud Sea. Now that it has appeared a second time, I just don't know who took the pill formula. The longer the pill formula is exposed, the greater the scope of the calamity will be." The middle-aged man shook his head and sighed. The old man hesitated for a moment before replying in a low voice. "According to our investigation, it was the poisonous old woman from the Five Venoms sect who took the pill formula and Jade slip and hid them. Don't underestimate those old monsters of the Rank 6 sects." The middle-aged man smiled. The old man was stunned for a moment. He thought about it carefully and said in confusion, "Could it be someone else? If that poisonous old woman really took it away, would Five Venoms sect still exist?" The middle-aged man's eyes were filled with wisdom as he said softly, "With the poisonous old woman's cultivation, how could she have withstood the power of Sher Luoxing's self-destruction? How could she not be found after such a thorough search? How could he kill Clear Flower Sect's noble money while escaping? That noble money is at the Nirvana Shatterer stage. Who could have killed him in just one incense stick of time before the second wave of Clear Flower Sect cultivators arrived?" The old man gasped and his mind trembled. It took him a long time to recover, and his eyes were filled with terror. Clear Flower Sect's noble money was killed. He obviously didn't know about this. The poisonous old woman couldn't have done all of this. Only the mysterious cultivator who really obtained the jade and pill formula could do this. This person must have killed noble money because he had no other choice. He must have encountered noble money when he left the wild continent and aroused suspicion, so he had to act. The middle-aged man's eyes were filled with admiration and sympathy. Ruthless and decisive, he killed noble money in a clean manner. He even diverted the attention of the Stage 6 cultivators to the poisonous old woman, stirring up a dense fog to gain some time. Before the Stage 6 cultivators could react, he successfully escaped from their blockade. Even I wouldn't be able to do this if I was in his shoes. More importantly, this person is extremely cunning. I don't know if there's a deeper meaning in shifting the target to the poisonous old woman. If he really saw through the truth of this matter and shifted the blame to the poisonous old woman, then his mind is like a demon's. The sympathy in the middle-aged man's eyes became even stronger. The heart of the old man beside him pounded. He pondered a bit, but was still a bit puzzled. The middle-aged man didn't turn his head, but he seemed to know the old man's doubts and softly said, "If we successfully obtain the jade and pill recipe, it will be an auspicious sign for the rank 6 region. However, if we let the jade and pill recipe disappear after we have the clues, it will be a disaster. What they need is an explanation for the rank 7, 8, or even 9 regions." The old man's eyes were filled with understanding, but there was also disbelief. His chest heaved up and down for a moment before he said, "That's why they allowed the 5 poison sect to continue to exist and are certain it was done by the poisonous old woman. Even Noble Money's death was done by an expert of the 5 poison sect." The middle-aged man smiled as if he was talking to himself. This mysterious cultivator is smart and gave the rank 6 cultivators an explanation. No matter what happens in the end, with this explanation, their disaster will be reduced a lot. Otherwise, how could there be no Nirvana Shatterer cultivators in the search team, and only some Nirvana Cleanser cultivators searching for a mysterious person that can kill a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator in less than an incense stick of time? If I was the sect master of a rank 6 sect, I might have erased all the clues for that mysterious cultivator. If that happened, only the 5 poison sect would die. The old man beside him was shocked. He looked at the middle-aged man with deep respect, dread, and even a hint of fear in his eyes. He had followed the middle-aged man, Lu Yunsong, for many years and had watched him go from obscurity to the peak. The Purple Dao sect was only a small sect in the rank 5 region 3,000 years ago, but in the hands of this person, it could be considered very powerful. Although it wasn't the strongest in the rank 5 region, the name Lu Yunsong was something everyone in the rank 6, 7, and 8 regions knew of. I really want to deal with this mysterious cultivator. I have a premonition that I will meet him one day. The middle-aged man's eyes were filled with anticipation. His figure with his hands behind his back was like a mountain in the eyes of the old man. The old man silently pondered. Time slowly passed. The tiger broke through the star fog and moved faster and faster. When they were only half a day away from the continent of Mo Luo, there was a flash of blue light. This blue light was demonic and penetrated the star fog, causing the fog to turn blue as if it was being dyed by the blue light. The tiger immediately stopped, and its eyes were filled with vigilance. There was even a hint of fear. It let out a roar, but it didn't dare to move forward. This sudden scene immediately caused the 30 or so cultivators on the back of the ferocious tiger to open their eyes at the same time. Their expressions were calm as they silently stood up and coldly stared ahead without the slightest hint of panic. This was because they were cultivators of the Purple Tao sect, core disciples of the Purple Tao sect. They were the direct disciples of the sect master, Lu Yunsong. They had their pride. They could die, they could lose, but they couldn't panic. Even if a mountain collapsed before them, they had to remain calm. The old man beside Lu Yunsong had a serious expression as he stared at the strange, blue light. Only Lu Yunsong's expression didn't change at all. He calmly stared at the fog as if nothing had happened. The blue fog spread out and gradually shrouded the surrounding 10,000 feet. A moment later, the blue fog churned and a beautiful figure walked out. She had blue hair and was wearing white. Her exquisite face didn't have the coldness of an iceberg or the gentleness of the sun. There was only serenity and elegance. There was a flute in her jade-like hand. She was like a fairy that had walked out from the void and descended into the world. As the celestial maiden gradually closed in, the instant her figure appeared, the blue fog within 10,000 feet surged violently and slowly turned corporeal. It turned into a blue dragon that was 10,000 feet long. This fairy was standing on the head of the blue dragon and calmly looked at Lu Yunsong. There was no fluctuation in her eyes, and they were pure without any impurities. It was like a serene pool that could intoxicate others. Under his gaze, even the most tyrannical person would calm down and feel a sense of inferiority uncontrollably rise in their hearts. Li Qianmei. Lu Yunsong still had his hands behind his back as his gaze fell on the woman. Although he was surprised by her serenity and the beauty of her domain, his expression didn't change at all. Rank 9 heaven-breaking sect, Li Qianmei. The old man beside Lu Yunsong retreated a few steps and became vigilant. He immediately recognized her. She was the only blue-haired woman in the Cloud Sea Star system, Li Qianmei. Qianmei greets Brother Lu. The woman smiled and bowed at Lu Yunsong. Fellow cultivator Li praises me too much. Lu Yunsong clasped his hands and smiled. Brother Lu, Qianmei has 3 questions to ask. I hope Brother Lu can answer them. The woman smiled softly, and her expression became even more calm. Along the way, she had asked many people the same question. Everyone who answered was outstanding, but in the end, she still didn't get the answer in her heart. In the end, she only managed to ask 1 or 3 questions. No one could make her ask the second question, let alone the third. Lu Yunsong nodded. Please speak. The woman softly said, the first question is, what is the heavens? Lu Yunsong looked at Li Qianmei. After pondering a bit, he slowly said, the cage is the heavens. The woman frowned and looked very moving. A moment later, her eyes lit up and she revealed a smile like a blooming lily. Brother Lu's answer is very interesting. Qianmei wants to know why the heavens is a cage. Lu Yunsong smiled. This is the second question. The woman twirled her blue hair and softly said, no, it's still the first question. Can Brother Lu answer it? Chapter 1165. For the frog in the well, the mouth of the well is the sky. For the fish in the water surface is the sky. The mouth of the well is the cage for the frog, and the water surface is the boundary for the fish. Lu Yunsong looked at the woman and said, humans are like frogs and fish, so the sky is the cage. The frog still wants to leave the well, and the fish still wants to jump out of the water. Humans naturally also want to break through the world and walk out of the cage. Li Qianmei pondered a bit, and her eyes became even brighter. There was a hint of admiration in her eyes as she tucked her hair behind her ear and softly said, Brother Lu's answer is very unique. Qianmei has asked a lot of people along the way, but only Brother Lu has solved Qianmei's doubts. Qianmei is too kind. Lu Yunsong smiled. Brother Lu is the first person to make Qianmei ask the second question. I hope Brother Lu can continue to solve my doubts. Li Qianmei looked at the man before her. She had long heard that a strange person had appeared in the rank 5 region, Lu Yunsong. This person was very intelligent and had a deep understanding of Tao. If I answer your 3 questions, and solve your doubts. Will there be any benefits? Lu Yunsong smiled as he looked at Li Qianmei, waiting for her answer. Li Qianmei blinked and smiled. If Brother Lu can really solve Qianmei's doubts, Qianmei can play a song for you. Good. Lu Yunsong laughed and took a profound look at Li Qianmei. He still didn't understand the true meaning behind this woman's questions. Li Qianmei looked at Lu Yunsong and softly said, "The second question, what is the sky?" The old man beside Lu Yunsong was still listening. When his sect master answered the first question, he smiled. However, when he heard the second question, his expression became strange. Lu Yunsong frowned and began to ponder. This time, he pondered for far longer than before. Li Qianmei was not in a rush. She calmly stood there and looked at Lu Yunsong, waiting for the answer. After one incense stick of time, Lu Yunsong slowly said, "The sky is the path." Li Qianmei pondered a bit and softly asked, "What do you mean?" Lu Yunsong raised his head and looked at the stars. After pondering a bit, he said, "Wherever you step on, the sky is the path. Because there is a path, there is Tao. The so-called path, the path, this is what it means. The Tao is the path is the Tao. The path is the direction, the guide to break the cage." Li Qianmei's eyes became even brighter, and the admiration in her eyes became even stronger. "Brother Lu, thank you, Qianmei, Brother Lu." Brother Lu left in such a hurry. "May I know where you are going?" The elder beside Lu Yunsong hesitated for a moment before cupping his fists. "Fellow Taoist Li, is this the third question?" Lu of Lu. "Go to the continent of Mo Luo to resolve a matter and ask for an explanation." Lu Yunsong's expression was the same as usual. There was no regret in his heart, even though he knew that he didn't have the chance to answer the third question. "I wonder if Brother Lu would mind if Qianmei came along." Li Qianmei blinked her eyes and asked softly. Li Qianmei blinked and softly said, "I wonder if Brother Lu would mind going with Qianmei?" Lu Yunsong laughed and nodded. Along the way, Lu Yunsong and Li Qianmei talked to each other. They both admired each other's understanding of Tao and talked happily. The old man still stood a few steps away. His gaze would occasionally fall on Lu Yunsong and Li Qianmei. There was a strange look in his eyes, but there was also joy. After the sect master lost his wife, he no longer has a Tao partner. Although this is the first time Li Qianmei from the rank 9 heaven-breaking sect has met the sect master, they seem to hit it off very well. If the two of them can become Tao partners, then with the sect master's talent and wisdom, his future will be limitless. My purple Tao sect will also become famous in the Cloud Sea. After Li Qianmei left the heaven-breaking sect, she rarely talked like this. No one was qualified for her to talk like this, except for Lu Yunsong. No wonder even teacher praised him and said he was the #1 person in the rank 5 region. Even the God sect paid attention to him. He is indeed a rare and strange man. It is very rare for him to have such a deep comprehension of Tao at his age. Although my cultivation level is high, I'm not as good as him. Unfortunately, even someone like him can only answer the second question. Li Qianmei sighed in her heart. Qianmei wants to find the mysterious cultivator who obtained the jade. I fear this matter will be a bit difficult. As the two of them talked, time slowly passed. They gradually talked about the mysterious cultivator who obtained the jade and pill recipe. Lu Yunsong didn't hide it, and there was no need to hide it. He spoke his mind. This mysterious cultivator has such wisdom. It looks like it will not be easy to find him. Li Qianmei nodded. After hearing Lu Yunsong's analysis, she became a bit interested in this mysterious cultivator. Decisive, demon-like, and ruthless. I don't admire many people in my life, but this mysterious cultivator can be considered one of them. Lu Yunsong exclaimed, and the admiration in his eyes became even stronger. Li Qianmei softly said, "All of this is just Brother Lu's analysis. Perhaps the truth isn't like this. I hope my guess is correct. Give me a chance to deal with him and make life more exciting." Lu Yunsong let out a sigh, and his eyes were filled with anticipation. As everyone moved forward, they got closer and closer to the continent of Mo Luo. At this moment, they could vaguely see the shadow of the continent of Mo Luo in the distance. The tiger spirit beast slowly stopped. It floated motionlessly among the stars and coldly stared ahead. Lu Yinsong looked at the old man beside him and calmly said, "After all, the Purple Tao sect and the Origin sect have the same main sect. Let's not cause too much panic. I'll go alone. You all stay here." The old man nodded. "Qianmei, let's go together." Lu Yinsong smiled, and his gaze fell on Li Qianmei. Li Qianmei nodded, and the two of them turned into two rays of light that flew toward the continent of Mo Luo. The old man looked at where the two of them disappeared and softly said, "Perhaps Sect Master and her can really become Tao companions." Continent of Mo Luo. Wang Lin had already tried the power of the pills in the Cloud Sea. He had faintly grasped the essence of the Cloud Sea's pills through the comprehension of the beast's souls inside the pills. Using the beast's souls to comprehend the heavens and then fuse them into one's own domain. At this moment, Wang Lin was sitting in the courtyard and had rejected Lu Yinfei and company's request to see him. He held the rank 8 pill in his hand and pondered. There's a flaw in the Cloud Sea Star System's pills. You can use beast souls to comprehend your domain, but it is very difficult to comprehend everything. If you want to obtain the desired domain, you need to constantly devour pills to succeed. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin looked at the pill in his hand. His expression suddenly changed, and he looked into the distance. "It's coming." His expression was neutral and didn't change at all. He withdrew his gaze and continued to look at the pill in his hand. Shortly after, the door to the courtyard was slowly pushed open and a man and woman walked in. The man was middle-aged and wore a purple robe. He gave off a sense of majesty without being angry. His eyes were like the stars and contained endless wisdom. The woman beside him was extremely beautiful and had jade-like skin. She wore a snow-white dress and held a jade flute in her hand. She gave off an otherworldly aura and was very calm. The arrival of these two didn't attract any attention from the Origin sect cultivators. It was as if they had appeared out of thin air. The moment they entered the courtyard, the middle-aged man's gaze fell on Wang Lin. His pupils shrank slightly, and he slowly walked over. His steps weren't fast, but every time he stepped, he would step on Wang Lin's heartbeat. It was as if his steps contained some kind of law and naturally gave off an indescribable pressure. What was even stranger was that, as the man approached, the sky behind him suddenly darkened in just a short distance of several dozen steps. It was as if dark clouds had covered half of the world. As the man moved forward, the dark world seemed to be devouring the day, moving along with him. "Sit." Wang Lin still didn't raise his head. Wang Lin wasn't surprised that this man and woman could find him without the Origin sect cultivators noticing. He only said one word, but the moment he said it, the man's footsteps suddenly stopped. It was as if his heartbeat had become chaotic, making it impossible to tell what was real and what was fake. It was as if everything before had collapsed with a thought from Wang Lin. Lu Yinsong's expression immediately became serious. He could feel this feeling very clearly. He had already spread out his cultivation and will and accurately enveloped the white-robed man in front of him. The approaching steps were formed by his will. Every step forward was an attack of his will. As he moved forward, his will fused with the world. His Tao turned into dark clouds that covered the sky, causing his aura to rise to its peak. These dozens of simple steps made it seem as if he had borrowed the might of the world to descend upon the ordinary man in white. If it was anyone else, just these few dozen steps would be enough for their Tao to collapse and their origin soul to be damaged. If it was more serious, it could even leave a mark in their heart and cause their Tao foundation to collapse. Even if someone could resist, they would definitely show a trace. Lu Yinsong was extremely confident in the strength of his domain and Tao. But at this moment, he was moved by one word from this ordinary man in white. With one word, everything he had before collapsed. It was as if everything he had done before had become an illusion. "Why aren't you sitting?" Wang Lin raised his head and withdrew his gaze from the pill. He looked at the man in purple, and their gazes met. It was as if there was invisible thunder rumbling inside the garden. The man in purple felt his heart tremble, and he subconsciously retreated 2 steps. His expression changed greatly. As he retreated, the dark clouds in the sky were torn apart by a powerful gust of wind. In the blink of an eye, the sky was clear once more. No matter how deep Lu Yunsong's understanding of Tao was, how could he compare to Wang Lin's Tao? Wang Lin had cultivated for more than 500 years and comprehended life and death reincarnation. After more than 900 years, his life and death reincarnation was complete and turned into karma. After more than 1,000 years of karma, his second transformation into true and false. What did Lu Yunsong have to compare? What qualifications did he have to compare? He couldn't compare. Li Qianmei had been watching from beginning to end. She came with Lu Yunsong because she admired his understanding of Tao. She believed that very few people among the younger generation had a better understanding of Tao than Lu Yunsong. This was why Lu Yunsong was valued by the sex in the high-rank star systems. However, right now her mind trembled as she looked at Wang Lin. Her eyes shined brightly like never before. "Brother, I have 3 questions to ask. Can you answer them?" Chapter 1166. No cultivator of the Origins sect noticed anything wrong. The southern courtyard was a forbidden area, so no one dared to enter. Even Lu Yanfei and company wouldn't dare to enter without being summoned. After instantly killing the rank 8 beast and forcing back the rank 6 cultivators of the 3 sects, Wang Lin was like an ancestor in the hearts of the Origins sect disciples, and they were filled with awe. Lu Yunsong's expression was extremely ugly as he stared at Wang Lin. He was in a dilemma. Before the calm gaze of the man in white, he felt like the sky was collapsing when he took a step forward, and his Tao would collapse when he took a step back. It was as if his Tao was like a baby playing with a treasure before this ordinary man in white. Sweat appeared on Lu Yunsong's forehead. He had never seen someone with such a Tao. It was as if everything before him was an illusion, but with just a thought, everything could become real. He had a feeling that the world could change according to this person's Tao. He is sitting there, he is Tao. A strange thought appeared in Lu Yunsong's mind. Li Qianmei's words echoed at this moment. Her voice was gentle and elegant. It could calm one's mind. When Wang Lin's gaze moved away from Lu Yunsong and landed on Li Qianmei's face, Lu Yunsong let out a breath of relief. He took a few steps back, and his expression was gloomy. He calmly looked at Li Qianmei. This woman's cultivation was unfathomable. Although she had hidden it, Wang Lin could still see that this beautiful woman had the power of a nirvana shatterer cultivator. Who is fellow cultivator? Wang Lin's eyes were still calm, but his mind was on the verge of exploding. A gentle breeze blew by, causing a few strands of Li Qianmei's hair to flutter before her face. She tucked the strands behind her ear as she looked at Wang Lin and softly said, "Heaven-breaking sect, Li Qianmei." Wang Lin moved, but his expression didn't change at all as he slowly said, "Why did fellow cultivator Li come here?" Li Qianmei smiled and blinked. "I came here to ask Brother Wen 3 questions to dispel Qianmei's doubts." "Why should I answer your questions?" Wang Lin's tone was flat. Li Qianmei's expression was still calm. She thought for a while and said, "Qianmei can play a song for Tao Brother." "No need." Wang Lin frowned and said calmly. Li Qianmei smiled and softly said, "Qianmei will help you resolve the matter with the purple Tao sect." "No need." Li Qianmei had a distressed expression as she looked at Wang Lin and softly said, "Tao Brother seems to have misunderstood. Qianmei and Brother Lu only met on the way here. Qianmei had nothing to do, so we came together. I have no intention of fighting with Tao Brother. Qianmei will not participate in the matter between Tao Brother and the Purple Tao sect. I just want to ask 3 questions to solve Qianmei's long-standing confusion. I have no other intentions." Li Qianmei rarely gave such a detailed explanation. At this moment, she could naturally tell that Wang Lin thought that she was on the same side as Lu Yunsong, so she explained in distress. After looking at Li Qianmei for a while, Wang Lin frowned and said in a deep voice, "What kind of problem?" Li Qianmei smiled and said, "It's related to Tao." Wang Lin slowly said, "1 question in exchange for 1 item." When Lu Yunsong heard this, he revealed a bitter smile. When he faced Li Qianmei, he didn't think about asking for an item. Instead, he listened to the sound of the flute for fun. He also wanted to befriend Li Qianmei. Li Qianmei was also startled. She nodded and smiled. If Dao brother can solve Qianmei's doubts, then of course I can. Wang Lin looked down at the rank 8 pill in his hand and calmly said, Ask. Dao brother. Qianmei's first question is, what is the heavens? Li Qianmei's eyes were filled with anticipation. The answer she was most satisfied with was Lu Yunsong's answer. The sky was a cage. At this moment, she really wanted to know how this ordinary-looking man in white would answer. She wasn't the only one looking forward to it. Even Lu Yunsong's eyes were serious. He wanted to know how someone with such a powerful Dao realm would answer this question. Lu Yunsong had always thought that his answer was perfect. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been the first person to ask Li Qianmei a second question. Hearing Li Qianmei's question, Wang Lin smiled. He looked at Li Qianmei and didn't say anything. Seeing Wang Lin smile, Li Qianmei was puzzled, but she didn't rush him. She waited for Wang Lin's answer. Lu Yunsong frowned. He didn't know why this white-robed youth would smile after hearing this question. From Lu Yunsong's point of view, this smile was filled with mockery and ridicule. Wang Lin shook his head and calmly said, Ask the second question. Lu Yunsong looked at Wang Lin and said, You still haven't answered what the heavens are. Oh, then what do you think is the heavens? Wang Lin glanced at Lu Yunsong and casually asked, The cage is the heavens. The mouth of the well is the heavens, and the surface of the water is also the heavens. Lu Yunsong's voice was calm, but it was filled with confidence. Li Qianmei frowned from the side, as if she was thinking. She couldn't see through Wang Lin. After hearing Lu Yunsong's words, she softly said, Qianmei has asked many fellow cultivators along the way, but only Brother Lu's answer is the most convincing and resonates with me. Why did Brother Lu smile before? Is there something wrong with Qianmei's question? Wang Lin looked at Li Qianmei for a long time before calmly saying, Is there a heavens? Hearing this, Li Qianmei was stunned. She had asked many people along the way, but no one had given such an answer. Not only her, but even Lu Yunsong's eyes narrowed, and he subconsciously looked up at the sky. Lu Yunsong coldly snorted, Nonsense! The heavens are all around us, so how can there be no heavens? Li Qianmei pondered for a bit before softly asking, Why not? Wang Lin didn't speak. Instead, he raised his right hand and waved it forward. A gentle breeze echoed in the herb garden, and a circle appeared on the ground around Li Qianmei and Lu Yunsong. It was as if someone had used a tree branch to draw a circle around the two of them. This circle is the heavens that you all believe exists. If you have a heavens in your heart, then the heavens also exist. You think of yourself as an ant in the cage of heaven and earth, struggling to break out. This is Tao intent and also belief. However, even if you walk out of that circle, what's the use? Wang Lin shook his head and waved his right hand again. Another circle appeared on the ground. Even if you come out, there will still be a heavens. The cycle of karma will continue without end until the heavens in your heart are destroyed by the heavens. This is a lie of the heavens. I have been thinking about this for hundreds of years. So why must there be a heavens? After Wang Lin finished speaking, he calmly sat there and didn't say anything else. Lu Yunsong's body trembled as if someone had hit his head. His ears buzzed as if there were countless bolts of thunder roaring in his mind. He subconsciously took a few steps back and stepped out of the first circle. However, he was still in the second circle. He stared at the two circles around him in a daze as Wang Lin's words echoed in his mind. A lie of the heavens. His face gradually turned pale and his mind became chaotic. The Tao intent that he had held onto his entire life cracked at this moment. He wanted to refute the words of the white-robed man in front of him, but he was powerless. In his eyes, the two circles around his body seemed to expand endlessly at this moment. In the end, they became the sky in his heart, a cage. He used everything he had to step out of the first cage, but to his astonishment, he found that he was still in a cage. This strange feeling caused his face to pale. Blood flowed down from the corner of his mouth, and a self-deprecating and bitter smile appeared on his face. Li Qianmei silently closed her eyes, and her mind trembled. Wang Lin's words seemed to turn into runes that danced in her mind and gradually engraved themselves in her heart. She originally thought that the confusion in her mind toward Tao was like a dark cloud. She had asked everyone along the way, but no one could answer her questions. Only Lu Yunsong's words struck her mind like lightning, causing the dark cloud to dissipate slightly. However, at this moment, she realized that Lu Yunsong's words and understanding of Tao were extremely ridiculous. She had fallen into the lies of the heavens and couldn't extricate herself. At this moment, Wang Lin's voice was like a tidal wave that turned into two giant invisible hands. It swept away the confusion and dark clouds in her mind and returned her to the clear sky. Li Qianmei's eyelashes trembled, and she opened her eyes. She looked at Wang Lin for a long time with admiration in her eyes. Li Qianmei bowed and softly said, "Can fellow cultivator tell Qianmei your name?" "Lu Zihao." Wang Lin's voice was still calm and didn't fluctuate at all. "Brother Lu's Tao intent has enlightened Qianmei. Qianmei wants to ask the second question, and I hope Brother Lu can answer Qianmei's doubts." Li Qianmei looked at Wang Lin with bright eyes. "The first question, I want the highest quality pill you have." Wang Lin looked at Li Qianmei. Li Qianmei blinked and covered her mouth as she chuckled. Her smile was very beautiful, but at this moment, Lu Yunsong's heart was filled with bitterness, so he didn't see it. Although Wang Lin saw it, he was indifferent. "Brother Lu, you've miscalculated. Qianmei's pills are mostly half-finished, and she needs to return to the sect to refine them. The highest grade of pills she has is only 10th level, and it's not the soul-parting pill, but the extreme talent pill used for healing. Since Brother Lu wants them, I'll give them to you." As Li Qianmei spoke, her right hand reached out and a crack to her storage space appeared. A wax pill flew out, and she handed it to Wang Lin. Wang Lin frowned as he accepted the pill. He glanced at it before putting it away. Qianmei's second question, "What is heaven?" Li Qianmei's eyes were very bright, and her heart couldn't help but beat faster as she waited for Wang Lin's answer. She had never felt this kind of feeling before. Even when Lu Yunsong answered, although she was looking forward to it, it wasn't like this. After hearing Li Qianmei's second question, Wang Lin looked up at the blue sky with a melancholy expression. He softly said, "The first question is about the limit of Tao intent. The second question is about heaven's will." After he said this, Li Qianmei's eyes became even brighter. She stared at Wang Lin in a daze. This was the first person she had met who was able to guess the meaning of two similar questions, but had completely different meanings. Lu Yunsong took a deep breath and suppressed his chaotic emotions. After hearing Wang Lin's words, he was startled. He understood why his answer to the second question was perfect, but in the end, he wasn't qualified to answer the third question. Chapter 1167. The reason for that was because he simply did not understand the difference between the two questions. A friend once told me that rain is born from the sky and dies on the earth. The process in between is life. But is this rain really born from the sky? Rain comes from nothingness and has nothing to do with the sky. When rain falls on the earth, it nourishes all living beings and has nothing to do with the earth. This is the fate of rain. Rain is formed from water vapor, and water vapor is born from all living beings. When rain appears, it naturally returns to all living beings. This is the cycle of cause and effect. This is where fate lies. In the unseen world, there is the existence of the law of fate. It is invisible, but it lingers around every living being and quietly changes everything. Wang Lin looked at the sky and casually waved his right hand. Thunder suddenly rumbled in the sky, and water vapor gathered from all directions, turning into dark clouds. A moment later, rain fell from the sky and landed on the earth. Look at the life of the rain. Does it fall in a straight line? I have watched the rain for a long time. It is like watching life, but I have never seen a single drop of rain fall in a straight line without changing its trajectory. They always change their landing position because of the wind, because of the clouds, because of their own weight. Do you see the unwillingness of the rain? Do you know why it is like this? Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and looked at Li Qianmei. Li Qianmei looked at the rain. After a long time, she softly said, "Where the will of the heavens is, fate changes. The life of the rain is very short, but because of the cycle, it is very long. As for us cultivators, our lives are very long, but because of the will of the heavens, our lives are very short. However, in the short life of the rain, it struggles countless times to escape the control of fate. It changes its landing position again and again, using this method to silently resist the will of the heavens and fate. As for us cultivators, the life of the rain is not something the rain can compare to. However, how many people can be like the rain, risking their lives to escape the control of fate, risking their lives to resist the arrangements of the will of the heavens, risking their lives to resist the will of the heavens?" Wang Lin waved his sleeve, and the sky rumbled. The rain fell back and rushed into the dark clouds, causing the dark clouds to collapse. The rain turned into water vapor and dissipated into the world. You changed the fate of the rain. You are the will of the heavens. Moths like to be buried in fire. If you blow out the fire so that the moths can't die in the fire, you will change the fate of the moths. The will of the heavens. If fate wants a person to die and you save her, you are the will of the heavens. There is an ancient saying in a mortal world that kings, marquises, and generals would rather have guts. This was the truth. The immortals had a saying, when a man achieves the Tao, his fowls and dogs will ascend with him. This is my answer to your second question. Wang Lin's voice was resolute and decisive. As his words echoed, the surroundings suddenly became silent. Lu Yunzong stared at Wang Lin in a daze, and his heart echoed like a bell. There was a complicated look in his eyes, and he couldn't help but admire this ordinary man in white. Lu Yunzong remained silent for a moment. Then he cupped his fists and bowed deeply to Wang Lin. He didn't say anything, but his actions clearly expressed his admiration. Li Qianmei looked at the sky with a blank look in her eyes. After a long time, she let out a sigh, and the way she looked at Wang Lin was very different. She bit her lower lip and softly said, "Brother Lu, this little sister is convinced by your words." As she spoke, her right hand reached into the void and took out a pill and jade from her storage space. Then she gently handed them over. This is a semi-finished pill that contains the soul of a rank 10 beast. The specific herbs and refining method are described in the jade. She hesitated for a moment before looking at Wang Lin and whispering, "This little sister has one last question to ask." Wang Lin was the first person she had ever met that made her ask a third question. With a complicated expression, she carefully looked at Wang Lin as if she wanted to engrave his appearance in her heart. No one knew how important and meaningful these 3 questions were to her. I hope Brother Lu can dispel this little sister's doubts on this third question. For some reason, Li Qianmei's face became a bit red. Li Qianmei looked at Wang Lin and softly said, "The third question is still, what is heaven?" Wang Lin silently pondered and closed his eyes. Time slowly passed, and after half an incense stick of time, Wang Lin opened his eyes. He looked at Li Qianmei and calmly said, "What you're asking about isn't heaven but Tao." Li Qianmei pondered for a moment and gently nodded. "I've also been thinking about this question. I once obtained an answer, but now that I think about it, that answer wasn't complete. I wonder what answer Brother Lu obtained before. Can you tell this little sister?" Li Qianmei's calm eyes didn't contain any impurities as she looked at Wang Lin. Lu Yunzong stood on the side and let out a sigh. He felt like he had become a superfluous existence. He shook his head and sat down on the ground. He waved his right hand, took out a jug of wine, and took a big gulp. Wang Lin pondered a bit and slowly said, "I'm the fish, the Tao is the net, and the river is the heaven. The fisherman in the net is the fortune that controls fate." When Lu Yunzong heard this, the wine jug in his right hand paused, and he pondered. After a long time, he seemed to understand something and looked at Wang Lin. His right hand reached out, took out another jug of wine, and threw it at Wang Lin. Wang Lin caught it and took a big gulp. Lu Yunzong let out a sigh and looked at Wang Lin with a complicated expression. Although this person looked ordinary, he had an aura that made Lu Yunzong admire him. My child indeed deserved to die. To be able to die to this person is his fortune. Lu Yinsong was not an ordinary person. He drank a mouthful of wine and untied the knot in his heart. Li Qianmei frowned, and her jade-like hand gently rubbed between her eyebrows. She whispered, "Teacher once said something similar. He once said that man is an ant, Tao is the mountain, and the will is the heaven. If the heaven is angry, then Tao will follow the heaven. If the ant is angry, then it has the power to move a mountain." As she spoke, she looked down at the ground. She took out a piece of white cloth and sat down on it. Tao is not a net or a mountain. It is a thought. This thought varies from person to person. Some people see it as a net. Some people see it as a mountain. Hearing Li Qianmei's words, Wang Lin began to ponder, and his eyes gradually lit up. Tao is like a thought? The reason people are called people is because they have a thought. They can leave their body and merge with the world to think about the unknown. Lu Yinsong seemed to have understood something and muttered to himself. Li Qianmei thought for a bit and smiled. Brother Lu's way of thinking is very strange. The three of them seemed to have forgotten about the passage of time. They sat there in the courtyard chatting, their murderous auras dispelled by the discussion of the Tao. Day passed and night fell. A bright moon hung in the sky, casting its light onto the courtyard. Behind the three of them, the shadow of a moon could be seen. The three of them had forgotten about time as they discussed Tao. However, this made the old man on the tiger outside the continent of Mo Luo suffer. He originally wasn't anxious, but after waiting for more than half a day, he gradually frowned. He didn't understand why, with the sect master's cultivation and Li Qianmei's, it had been so long since they went to the continent of Mo Luo. After waiting for several more hours, the anxiety in the old man's eyes became even stronger. He had a bad feeling in his heart. He clenched his teeth and no longer hesitated. He controlled the tiger and led the more than 30 purple Tao sect core disciples toward the continent of Mo Luo. However, as soon as they approached, before they could break through the defenses and charge in, a dignified voice suddenly reverberated. "Back down. Without my order, no one is allowed to take half a step into the continent of Mo Luo." This voice belonged to Lu Yinsong. The old man was startled and quickly clasped his hands. He controlled the tiger and quickly retreated, but he was still puzzled in his heart. The morning light shrouded the courtyard. Wang Lin looked at Lu Yinsong. Lu Yinsong silently sat on the side, drinking wine, and didn't speak. He could already see that he was not a match for the man in white. Even if everyone from the Purple Tao sect came, it wouldn't be of any use. Wang Lin looked at Li Qianmei and calmly said, "For the third question, I can only say that Tao is like thoughts." Li Qianmei revealed a smile that was very beautiful. She looked at Wang Lin and softly said, "Thank you, Brother Lu, for answering my doubts. I hope Brother Lu can tell me the third question if you have any Tao in the future. Little sister won't ask questions from others in the future." Wang Lin was startled. He looked at Li Qianmei, pondered a bit, and then nodded. Lu Yinsong let out a sigh and stood up. He clasped his hands at Wang Lin and said, "Fellow cultivator Lu, after a night of Tao enlightenment, the enmity of the past is over. However, you must return the Yin celestial flag to me." Wang Lin's eyes were calm, and he shook his head. "You?" Lu Yinsong took a deep breath and bitterly smiled. Lu Yinsong let out a sigh and said, "Fellow cultivator Lu, the Yin celestial flag does not belong to my Purple Tao sect. It was given to me by the main sect and must be returned in 100 years. If you don't return it, I won't force you, but if the main sect asks for it in 100 years, don't blame me for telling you the truth." "That Yin celestial flag belongs to the main sect?" Wang Lin's expression was neutral, but his heart skipped a beat. "Yes, forget it. Since you insist on not returning it, then I'll take my leave." Lu Yinsong clasped his hands and looked at Li Qianmei. He noticed that she had no intention of leaving with him, so he couldn't help but feel bitter in his heart. He clasped his hands at Li Qianmei and left. After Lu Yinsong left, Li Qianmei looked at Wang Lin and gently smiled. She picked up the green flute in her hand and began to play it. The sound of the flute was gentle and elegant. It seeped into one's heart and made it so that one couldn't help but be immersed in it. The sound of the flute contained a tranquil charm, like the life of a mortal village, and also like the flowing water of a mountain stream, crystal clear and sweet, flowing to wash away the filth in one's heart. It was more like a rainbow bridge, tightly connecting one's heart to another, making the estrangement between them vanish in a puff of smoke. Feeling the tranquility and elegance of the flute sound, Wang Lin closed his eyes. It was as if he could see the woman playing the zither on Suzaku. It was as if he could see the blind woman playing the zither in the demon spirit land. The flute sound in his ears and the zither sound in his heart intertwined, making it difficult to distinguish them. Liu Yunsong left with the sound of the flute, and the bitterness in his heart became even stronger. He looked back at the Origins sect and let out a sigh before leaving without looking back. After an unknown amount of time, the sound of the flute gradually dissipated. Li Qianmei stood up and looked at Wang Lin. Then she turned around and walked toward the door of the courtyard. Just as she was about to step out, she stopped and looked back with a smile. It was at this moment that Wang Lin opened his eyes. "Brother Liu, there is a market and auction that happens once every 30 years on the continent of Penglai. Are you interested in going?" His ears also looked back with a smile, asking for monthly votes. Chapter 1168. The continent of Penglai was very famous in the rank 5 region, and most of this fame came from the Treasure Jade sect. The Treasure Jade sect was the #1 sect in the rank 5 region. There were many cultivators and many old monsters, so the continent it was on was called Penglai, also known as the Penglai Celestial Realm. The size of the continent of Penglai was far larger than Mo Luo, dozens of times larger. From afar, calling Penglai a continent wasn't appropriate, because it wasn't a continent but half a cultivation planet. In the Cloud Sea, there were very few cultivation planets. Only some very powerful sects had them. Even the Treasure Jade sect wasn't qualified to occupy a complete cultivation planet. They could only obtain half of one. This half of a cultivation planet was given to them by the rank 9 Ghost sect due to the merit the Penglai ancestor made 20,000 years ago. As a result, no high-level cultivator dared to show any greed for this cultivation planet. They silently accepted the fact that the Treasure Jade sect had a cultivation planet. Looking through the star fog, Penglai was like a crescent moon. There were layers of protection around it that gave off a gentle glow that pushed away the star fog, making the area around Penglai clear. Aside from the Treasure Jade sect, part of Penglai's fame came from the auction that happened once every 30 years. Almost every time the Penglai auction opened, a large number of cultivators would gather. Even cultivators from the upper rank regions would come, making it very lively. The auction would last for 3 months. There were all kinds of treasures, pills, recipes, and spirit beasts. It provided a complete set of resources for cultivators to trade. There were also celestial jades and origin crystals to trade, and even cultivation furnaces and bodies to be sold. There were also spirit beasts that could be used to fight beasts. Of course, the most eye-catching thing was the Penglai Chaos Law and the auction of precious items. The so-called Penglai Chaos Law was an environment provided by the Treasure Jade sect for cultivators to freely bet on life and death battles. The winner would obtain the treasure of the loser. At this time, the Penglai market was about to open. Rays of light whistled through the starry sky outside the Penglai continent, approaching Penglai. Because of the pill recipes and jade slips, there were many rank 6 cultivators, as well as rank 7 and rank 8 cultivators coming to the Penglai market. In the starry sky, there were 2 streaks of light speeding through. One was a man, and the other was a woman. The man was dressed in white, and his expression was calm. His gaze was cold, and it was as if his expression wouldn't change even if a mountain collapsed in front of him. He was Wang Lin. The woman beside him was extremely beautiful. She was also dressed in snow-white clothes, and her beautiful blue hair fluttered even though there was no wind. Her exquisite face could make one's heart palpitate, and her whole body emitted a serene and elegant charm. She was like a fairy that had stepped into the mortal world. If one looked into her eyes, they would feel ashamed of their inferiority. After a few more days of travel, we will reach the Panlai continent. Qianmei once came to the Panlai continent with a fellow disciple 500 years ago. That place was very lively, and I have a deep memory of it. The woman's beautiful eyes revealed a hint of reminiscence as she smiled. Wang Lin didn't say anything. His expression was calm. He originally wouldn't have come with Li Qianmei, and he wasn't interested in the auction. However, after listening to Li Qianmei's words, he pondered a bit, and his heart skipped a beat. The Cloud Sea star system was filled with star fog, and without an accurate star map, it would be difficult to move. The higher the rank, the more difficult it was. If one wanted to go from the rank 5 region to the rank 8 region, they would need even more star maps. In the Cloud Sea star system, comprehensive star maps were extremely rare. Most were made by individuals, and they required a large amount of data to be collected and verified. Only then could one obtain a complete map. The reason Wang Lin agreed to come to the auction was because of the star maps. However, star maps were extremely precious in the Cloud Sea star system, and very few people would take them out to trade. After all, the Cloud Sea was special, making star maps a top secret of a sect. This was understandable. In the star system of the Cloud Sea, there were very few sects that dared to say they had a complete star map of the star system they were in. In truth, there were many places in the star system that cultivators had never been to before. At this time, the role of the star map was extremely important. A wild continent that no one knew about, the vicious beasts, medicinal herbs, and a large number of resources could only be controlled by a few people or a single sect that knew about this place. Without a star map, it would be difficult to move forward. Even the development of a sect would be greatly affected. They could only go to wild continents that most people knew about to search for resources. As a result, almost every sect would spend a lot of effort to open up a star map. However, there was no direction in the star fog, and there were countless fierce beasts, so the price to open up a star map for an area was very high. At this time, the exchange of star maps naturally became the first choice. However, people were greedy. Even if it was an exchange, there would still be fraud, and some would even lead to dangerous places. There were so many of them that the exchange of star maps gradually became rare. Most of the sects would rather open up their own and obtain a safe star map than exchange for a fake one and pay a bloody price for it. As for Li Qianmei, she used the unique transfer arrays of her sect to arrive at the various branches of the rank 5 region. She continued to teleport until she arrived at the rank 5 region. In truth, this was a common method used by the sects of the rank 8 and above in the Cloud Sea. Like spreading seeds, they would support or rebuild branch sects in the lower rank regions to allow the branch sects to develop. The biggest use of this method was to set up a fixed transfer point so that the people of the main sect could teleport here. This method cleverly avoided the problem of lacking a star map. There was such a teleportation formation in the Gui Yuan sect. However, this transfer array required a large amount of celestial jades or origin crystals to open. As a result, unless the main sect unsealed it and gave it the right to open, it couldn't be used easily. Along the way, Wang Lin was pondering. He only responded to Li Qianmei's words and didn't talk at all. Li Qianmei was very angry. Along the way, the man beside her was like a mute and didn't say a word. She was the only one talking, as if she was talking to herself. The two of them silently pondered as they flew. Wang Lin looked at Li Qianmei, pondered a bit, and slowly said, "The rank 9 region is very mysterious in the eyes of cultivators like us. I wonder how many sects there are in the rank 9 region." There was no flaw in his words. Perhaps due to the fog in the Cloud Sea, there was a barrier between cultivators, so they didn't have much contact. The rank 9 region was a supreme existence and extremely mysterious. The records of the Origin sect only briefly described the rank 9 region and knew that there was a god sect there. Even the existence of the Heaven-Breaking sect was something Wang Lin had only learned about after obtaining the jade and the memories of the poisonous old woman. After all, the things a sect in the rank 5 region knew couldn't compare to a rank 6 region. When Li Qianmei saw Wang Lin speak, she pondered a bit and answered Wang Lin's question. There are a total of 4 sects in the rank 9 region. They're the God sect, Ghost sect, demon sect, and heaven-breaking sect. Among them, the heaven-breaking sect is the weakest, while the god sect is the strongest. The ghost sect is the most mysterious. As for the demon sect, Li Qianmei hesitated a bit and softly said, "The demon sect is located in the deepest part of the rank 9 region. It is very difficult for cultivators to enter there, and it is filled with powerful, fierce beasts. The demon sect doesn't care about worldly matters, and very few people go out." Qianmei once heard teachers say that there are terrifying, fierce beasts that can cultivate the shape of a human in the demon sect. However, with the god sect there, the demon sect can't do much. "Oh." Wang Lin's expression changed, and he asked, "Fierce beasts that can cultivate the shape of a human?" Li Qianmei nodded and softly said, "Fierce beasts can even comprehend the laws of the world, and can even verify the heavens' Tao. So how can they not cultivate the shape of a human? However, there aren't many of these fierce beasts. They're extremely rare. There are some things you don't know, and even most cultivators don't know. Even my heaven-breaking sect only learned of some secrets after entering the rank 9 region and becoming a member of the rank 9 region." Li Qianmei's expression was serious. After pondering a bit, she softly said, "A long time ago, there was only one sect in the rank 9 region, and that was the god sect. After the god sect dominated the cloud sea for countless years, the first fierce beast riot broke out in the rank 9 region. During that riot, there were 3 fierce beasts that took human form. Rumor has it that they came from another star system. If it wasn't for the god sect, the beast riot would have spread across the entire cloud sea. In the end, it was stopped by the god sect, so it didn't spread, and very few outsiders know about it. That battle was extremely tragic. The god sect sent a portion of their sect to suppress the fierce beasts and station themselves in the depths of the rank 9 region. There was a broken space there that was connected to a mysterious star system. Some extremely powerful fierce beasts came from there. In order to stop the fierce beasts from causing chaos, there has been constant slaughter for tens of thousands of years. Even now, slaughter still occurs. This portion of the god sect members gave up their freedom and became the final defense in the depths of the rank 9 region. However, as time passed, these former disciples of the god sect became independent and called themselves the demon sect. They no longer listened to the orders of the god sect, but they still stayed there to stop the waves of fierce beasts. Li Qianmei's voice was very beautiful, but the content of her words was shocking. Wang Lin's eyes became serious. He didn't expect such a shocking matter to be hidden in the cloud sea. After Qing Yu finished speaking, Li Qianmei looked at Wang Lin and calmly said, "The god sect is worried about the demon sect and the fierce beast from that mysterious star system. They first promoted the ghost sect, which is good at soul manipulation, to a rank 9 sect, and then promoted my heaven-breaking sect to a rank 9 sect. All of this is to prepare for the second beast riot that might erupt at any time. This matter is very important. I hope Brother Lu won't tell anyone else." Wang Lin silently pondered a bit and nodded. His eyes looked into the distance, as if they could pierce through the void and see the rank 9 region. He saw the shattered space that the demon sect had been guarding for tens of thousands of years, and saw a mysterious star system. The world is fickle, but there must be a reason. If what Li Qianmei said is true, then where is this mysterious star system? Chapter 1169. In the rank 9 region, every few hundred years, cultivators from various sects will form an army to go to the demon sect to fight against the fierce beasts from the mysterious star system. Perhaps it won't be long before Qianmei goes as well. Li Qianmei's blue hair fluttered and a few strands were caught in her right hand. She smiled. Wang Lin silently pondered. If that day comes, Brother Lu has to send Qianmei off. Li Qianmei blinked and smiled. Her smile was very beautiful, like a blooming orchid. There was a different kind of charm in her tranquility. That beautiful face was the same as when Wang Lin left the continent of Mo Luo. Lu Yinfei silently sent him off from the pavilion in the southern mountain range and softly murmured, "I hope Senior doesn't forget the competition between the main sect and the origin sect in 100 years." With Lu Yinfei's intelligence, she could see that the continent of Mo Luo wouldn't allow Wang Lin to stay for long. This place was merely a piece of duckweed, and he was only a passerby. Once he dealt with the matter of the Origin sect, he would leave. Right now, he was leaving just as the disaster of the Purple Dao sect was over. Once he left, perhaps they wouldn't be able to wait until the next time they met. In particular, when Wang Lin left, the blue-haired woman beside him also entered Lu Yanfei's eyes. She gradually lowered her head. Wang Lin saw this, and Wang Lin heard this voice. However, he didn't look back and couldn't look back as he left. However, before he left the continent of Mo Luo, Wang Lin's words blew by Lu Yanfei like the wind, causing her hair to flutter. I will. At this moment, Wang Lin looked at Li Qianmei. He looked at this woman who was clearly at the late stage of Nirvana Shatterer, but didn't have any arrogance. She was like a little sister next door. He listened to this woman talk about the secrets of the Rank 9 region. He listened to this woman talk about the dangerous battle against the fierce beasts at the demon sect. He listened to her tell him to send her off before she left. Wang Lin silently pondered for a moment before nodding and softly saying, I will. When Li Qianmei smiled, her eyes were like crescent moons. On the second day of the opening of the Penglai Continent's market, Wang Lin and Li Qianmei arrived at the starry sky outside the Penglai Continent. Li Qianmei's hair had turned black due to her Dao technique. In this way, there was no need to worry that someone would recognize her. The black-haired Li Qianmei looked even more elegant. Standing together with Wang Lin attracted the attention of many cultivators in the starry sky. Outside the Penglai Continent, the Treasure Jade sect arranged for many of their disciples to be in charge of receiving the guests. After collecting the fee for entering the Penglai Continent, they opened the protective barrier and allowed the guests to enter. This was the first time Wang Lin had seen a cultivation planet since coming to the Cloud Sea. Although it was only half a cultivation planet, it was still a rare sight. However, compared to the shock that other cultivators would feel upon seeing a cultivation planet, Wang Lin's face remained calm. In the Cloud Sea, almost all cultivators had never seen a cultivation planet before. They had only seen floating continents, and the shock they felt the first time they saw a cultivation planet would unconsciously show on their faces. However, for Wang Lin, a cultivation planet was really nothing. He was born on a cultivation planet, and the place where he found his teacher was also a cultivation planet. He even had his own cultivation planet on the Luo Tian continent. There is no need to mention the vast star domain of the Rosefinch Divine Sect. The cultivators of the Treasure Jade sect all had their own cultivation planets, so they were a bit arrogant. However, their arrogance was insignificant in Wang Lin's eyes. As the cultivators paid their spirit stones and entered the Penglai continent, it was now Wang Lin and Li Qianmei's turn. Before them was a group of Treasure Jade sect cultivators. Most of them were at the illusory yin and corporeal yang stage, and the leader was unexpectedly a Nirvana Scryer cultivator. This Treasure Jade sect obviously has a very good reputation. They use Nirvana Scryer cultivators to show off their strength. Wang Lin secretly shook his head. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that the Treasure Jade sect was just putting on a show. After paying the spirit stones, Wang Lin and Li Qianmei entered Penglai. Li Qianmei covered her mouth and softly said, "It's not bad this time. I remember that when I came to Penglai with my fellow sect members, there was a Nirvana cleanser cultivator leading the sect. I thought we were going to another rank 9 sect, and forgot that this was only the rank 5 region." Wang Lin silently shook his head. Although Penglai's Treasure Jade sect was shameful, Penglai's scenery was extremely beautiful. The land was lush green, and the capital cities of the mortal world stood in great numbers. The mortals all had respectful expressions as they looked at the cultivators flying through the sky with looks of envy. There were also magnificent mountains and rivers that were very pleasing to the eye. The location of the market was on the eastern part of Penglai. The entire eastern part of Penglai was very spectacular. Giant cone-shaped rocks floated in the air, and there were cities built on them. White clouds lingered in the sky above the rocks, causing the eastern part of Penglai to look like a fairyland. Depending on the size of the cone-shaped rocks, the cities also varied in size. There were many cone-shaped rocks floating in the air, and they circled around a giant rock in the center. They weren't static, but slowly rotated. Bursts of celestial-like music echoed across the world. They came from the stone cities. If that was it, it wouldn't be a big deal, but there were also many elegant spirit beasts flying around the rocks on the eastern part of Punlai. They would sometimes pierce through the clouds and appear in the distance. Looking at all of this, Wang Lin's expression was neutral, but he let out a sigh in his heart. There was a giant formation floating above each of the cone-shaped rocks. To maintain the formation, it consumed a large amount of spirit stones. Li Qianmei smiled and said, "The treasured jade sect is quite famous for their extravagance. However, because they only use spirit stones to set up the formations, they only have the shape of celestials and no celestial spiritual energy. Although they look like a fairyland, they are actually very elegant. Even the treasured jade sect can't afford to consume so many celestial jades, much less origin crystals." After hearing Li Qianmei mention celestial jades, Wang Lin's expression became a bit strange. When he was at the origin sect, he learned that celestial jades were extremely rare in the Cloud Sea. This had a lot to do with the fact that the wind celestial realm was occupied by the mosquito beasts. Since they couldn't enter, they naturally couldn't get any celestial jades. Even the treasured jade sect only dared to squander spirit stones and was extremely stingy with celestial jades. Even the young master of the purple Tao sect didn't have more than 100 celestial jades in his bag of holding. Similarly, in the Cloud Sea, there was another type of crystal. This crystal was even rarer and was called origin crystal. Just like how celestial jades were needed to reach the illusory yin and corporeal yang stages, celestial formations, spells, and treasures all required celestial jades. For second-step cultivators in the Cloud Sea, origin crystals were even more useful. This origin crystal was something unique to the Cloud Sea celestial realm and was loved by second-step cultivators. Absorbing this origin crystal would allow one to quickly recover origin energy, and it could even increase one's cultivation speed during cultivation. In fact, when refining magic treasures and setting up formations, if there were crystals, the power would be multiplied. However, origin crystals were just as rare as celestial jades. The only difference was that celestial jades only existed in the wind celestial realm and couldn't be mined or obtained. As for origin crystals, they were only controlled by sects in the rank 8 and above regions. Most of them were owned by the rank 9 region. All of this had a lot to do with the formation of origin crystals. Origin crystals didn't form ores. Instead, once origin beasts reached the 12th level and gained the ability to transform into mist, they would be raised in the mist. After many years, these origin crystals would gradually form in the origin beast bodies. Only sects or cultivators with rank 12 origin beasts could produce origin crystals. However, there weren't many rank 12 beasts, and those that could turn into mist were even rarer. Therefore, only rank 8 or above sects had the power to have them. If an origin beast appeared in a low-rank region, there would often be chaos. After all, origin beasts represented origin crystals. He stepped onto a cone-shaped stone with Li Qianmei. The city above the stone was the market, and it was already open. There were many cultivators in the city, and some of them paid some spirit stones to the treasure jade sect to set up their own stalls to buy and sell. This is the outer area, but it's quite lively. Li Qianmei followed beside Wang Lin and looked around. This place was very noisy, and the sound of bargaining could be heard. It didn't look like a place for cultivators to trade, but a mortal market. It had been a long time since Wang Lin had entered a market like this. After walking around for a while, his gaze fell on a stall not far away. "Fellow cultivator, I don't have that many celestial jades. How about I add a pill?" There was an old man sitting at the stall. His expression was gloomy as he looked at the middle-aged man before him. Those words came from the middle-aged man's mouth. "The old man can refine the pill himself. It's useless. 70 celestial jades for one origin crystal is the old man's limit." The old man rolled his eyes and coldly said one sentence before ignoring the middle-aged man. In the Cloud Sea Star system, celestial jades and origin crystals could be freely exchanged between cultivators based on a certain ratio. After hearing those words, Wang Lin subconsciously touched the place where his bag of holding was. Although it was empty, Wang Lin's expression was very strange. He didn't even remember how many celestial jades he had in his storage space. Just at this moment, a surprise voice came from not far away. "Qianmei, it really is you." Along with the voice came 3 cultivators. The one in front looked about 30 years old and was wearing a green robe. He was very handsome and had a slender body. At this moment, his eyes were filled with joy as he quickly walked over. The 2 people behind him were also geniuses. Based on the fluctuations of their cultivation levels, it was obvious that they weren't weak. Li Qianmei frowned for a moment before relaxing and softly saying, "So it is fellow cultivator Yang." The man in green closed in and didn't even look at Wang Lin. He smiled and said, "After we parted several months ago, I have been thinking about you. Fortunately, the heavens moved and allowed me to meet Qianmei here. This place is in chaos, so how about we go to the inner city?" The man's voice was gentle and very charming. "Fellow cultivator Yang understands, but please help yourself." Li Qianmei's voice was calm but cold. "Qianmei," the man in green was startled and was about to speak. "Fellow cultivator Yang, please conduct yourself. The name Qianmei is not something you can say." Li Qianmei frowned once more, and her expression became even more angry. Yang Yu was the person she had asked questions about, but his answer didn't satisfy her. Yang Yu's eyebrows rose up. He naturally saw Wang Lin beside Li Qianmei and coldly looked over. He didn't dare to provoke Li Qianmei, but he didn't care about the other people. Yang Yu stared at Wang Lin and coldly said, "Who are you?" Chapter 1170. Wang Lin coldly looked at the green-robed man. This person was at the mid-stage of Nirvana Cleanser, and although he was handsome, there was a hidden gloominess in his eyes. The 2 companions behind him were both early-stage Nirvana Cleanser cultivators, and there was something wrong with where they were standing. The 2 of them had already spread out while the green-robed man was speaking. They surrounded Wang Lin in the middle. However, when Wang Lin looked over, aside from the green-robed man, the pupils of the other 2 early-stage Nirvana Cleanser cultivators shrank. There was a hint of nervousness and dread in their eyes. After withdrawing his gaze, Wang Lin didn't even look at the green-robed man. He walked toward the old man's stall. The middle-aged man that was bargaining with the old man had already moved aside. Not only him, but the surrounding cultivators also noticed the situation and moved aside. The old man at the stall was calm as he looked at the approaching Wang Lin. "Fellow cultivator, how many origin crystals do you have?" Wang Lin casually asked as his gaze swept past the jade on the old man's waist. "Not much, only 1. However, the old man only wants celestial jades and nothing else." The old man's face twitched, and he revealed a smile. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and his lips moved slightly as he sent a message into the old man's mind. The old man was startled for a moment. He looked at Wang Lin for a long time and revealed a bewildered expression. Wang Lin's right hand reached at the void, and a crack to his storage space appeared. He reached in and took out a bag of holding. Although Nirvana Cleanser cultivators didn't need a bag of holding, they would often choose one for the sake of concealment. He wiped the bag of holding with his divine sense and threw it at the old man. Then Wang Lin calmly said, "This is the down payment." The old man caught the bag of holding and carefully scanned it with his divine sense. He meaningfully looked at Wang Lin, pondered for a bit, stood up, closed the stall, and said, "I'll come find you in 3 days." After he finished speaking, he turned around and was about to leave. However, he paused for a moment and turned back to look at Wang Lin. He sent out a wisp of his divine sense. "Fellow Taoist, you act decisively. Old man Ouyang Long, I'll make friends with you." That azure-robed man, Yang Yu, is the 3rd disciple of the rank 6 Devil Collection Path Sect Master. Be careful. After sending out a divine sense, the old man left in a hurry. He didn't ask how to contact Wang Lin, and Wang Lin didn't ask about this either. The conversation between Wang Lin and the old man couldn't be heard by bystanders. When Yang Yu saw that Wang Lin had ordered the old man to leave in just a moment, he couldn't help being more cautious. As for the two cultivators who were faintly surrounding Wang Lin, they were even more nervous. Yang Yu's eyes flashed as he said in a deep voice, "How arrogant of you! You still haven't answered my question. Let your master come out and talk to me." Wang Lin's expression was neutral, but his words were cold. When they landed in the ears of the three of them, it was like a thunderous rumble. The expressions of the two early-stage Nirvana cleanser cultivators changed greatly. Yang Yu's pupils also shrank, and he was about to speak. However, just at this moment, Wang Lin moved. He moved like lightning and instantly arrived next to the cultivator on the left. The cultivator had been vigilant and quickly retreated. His right hand formed a seal and pushed forward. The fragrance of flowers spread out, and a giant, red flower appeared before the cultivator. This flower was more than 100 feet tall and was filled with sharp teeth. It charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was neutral. He didn't retreat, but charged forward. With one step, he disappeared without a trace. The moment the flower devoured the cultivator, Wang Lin appeared behind the cultivator. His two fingers moved like lightning and pointed at the cultivator's back. There was a muffled rumble, and the cultivator's face immediately turned pale. He coughed out blood, and the flower before him collapsed. He was sent flying like a kite, with its string cut, and knocked over a cultivator's stall. Just at this moment, the cultivator on the right suddenly retreated. He waved his right hand, and 7 flying swords appeared. They quickly turned corporeal and shot toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin suddenly turned around. His eyes revealed a strange light, and he spat out one word: doubt. His eyes suddenly changed. His left eye was hazy and illusory, while his right eye was like a bolt of lightning that could shatter metal and split the earth. These two completely different gazes were like sharp swords that directly imprinted on the cultivator's eyes. The cultivator's body suddenly trembled, and the flying swords before him became chaotic and out of control. His eyes were filled with confusion, and his heart pounded rapidly. It was as if he had entered a nightmare that he would never be able to escape from. A large amount of illusions appeared before his eyes, and he couldn't tell what was real from what was fake. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. The cultivator's eyes were bloodshot, as if he had gone crazy. He grabbed his head and screamed. This scene caused the surrounding spectators to gasp. All of this happened very quickly, and it was over in the blink of an eye. Wang Lin didn't kill these two cultivators, but they were clearly crippled. Li Qianmei's eyes lit up as she watched all of this. This was the first time she had seen Wang Lin directly attack. It was as smooth as moving clouds and flowing water. Yang Yu's face was pale as he looked at Wang Lin. He fell silent as the screams of his fellow sect members echoed in his ears. Each scream seemed to tear his mind apart. Just at this moment, Wang Lin turned his head to look at Yang Yu. His expression was calm, as if what happened before was nothing more than crushing an ant to him. The ridicule and coldness in his gaze made Yang Yu's mind tremble. Wang Lin slowly walked toward Yang Yu, one step at a time. Back then, Lu Yunsong borrowed the power of the world for his own use and used his domain to suppress others. Although he collapsed in front of Wang Lin, this method was a kind of use of domain. With Wang Lin's understanding of Tao, he quickly figured it out and made it one of his spells. At this moment, every step he took was stepping on Yang Yu's heartbeat. As a result, Yang Yu felt that every step Wang Lin took was like a bang. Although it was only a dozen steps, Yang Yu's face became even paler. Because each step was like a heartbeat in Yang Yu's eyes, Wang Lin became infinitely taller, pressing down like a mountain. However, Yang Yu didn't retreat. The veins on his face bulged as he stared at Wang Lin. He struggled to let out a roar, and his clothes fluttered like the wind. His hair moved without any wind, but he no longer looked as elegant and handsome as before. Wang Lin let out a cold snort. His footsteps had already fused with Yang Yu's heartbeat, and he was completely under the control of Wang Lin's domain. As he moved forward, Wang Lin raised his right foot and was about to step down. However, he didn't step on the ground, but the void. Being led by Wang Lin's domain, Yang Yu's heart, which should have been beating, suddenly stopped. Just at this moment, Wang Lin stepped forward and suddenly sped up. He took 3 steps in a row at extremely fast speed. Bang, bang, bang. The moment the 3 steps landed, Yang Yu felt like a heavy hammer had smashed into his chest. His body trembled, and his face instantly turned sickly red. He coughed out a mouthful of blood and could no longer resist Wang Lin's domain suppression. His body couldn't help but retreat. However, just as he took a step back, he immediately coughed out another mouthful of blood. He retreated a few more steps before he stabilized his body. The red on his face disappeared and was replaced by a pale face. His eyes were filled with chaos and struggle, and in the blink of an eye, they were bloodshot. At this moment, illusory scenes appeared in his mind. Those illusory scenes were the countless miserable ways he had died, as well as the miserable deaths of his fellow sect members, his master, and his close family. He knew that they were fake, but he could not tell them apart. These illusory scenes were like memories that were deeply engraved in his mind, and they became more and more real. Yang Yu's body trembled violently. He hugged his head, but he didn't scream. He continued to struggle, and the clarity in his eyes gradually decreased. Seeing that he was about to be completely lost in the illusions, Yang Yu continued to retreat and cry for help. "Martial uncle, save me." The moment his voice rang out, a green figure suddenly appeared beside Yang Yu. The figure's right index finger mercilessly pointed at the spot between Yang Yu's eyebrows. Yang Yu's body immediately trembled, and popping sounds came from his body. A mist of blood spread out, and he fell to the ground unconscious. The green figure didn't stop. In a flash, it appeared beside another disciple and did the same thing, causing the screaming cultivator to faint. In a flash, the green figure returned to Yang Yu's side and revealed itself. It was an old man with a head full of white hair and a pair of eagle eyes that were bright and full of expression. "Why did you come looking for me?" Wang Lin's expression was calm as he looked at the old man. The old man didn't reveal any emotions. He looked at Wang Lin for a while before laughing and clasping his hands. "Fellow cultivator Liu is wise. The old man has his reasons for doing this. I hope you don't mind my rashness. How about we find a place to sit and have the old man apologize?" Wang Lin calmly looked at the old man. After pondering a bit, he nodded. Wang Lin's mind was like a demon's. When Yang Yu first appeared, he noticed that Yang Yu had clearly seen him in the crowd before talking to Li Qianmei. He also noticed that although Yang Yu's expression was normal and his disguise was flawless, the nervousness of his 2 fellow sect members wasn't hidden well, so Wang Lin clearly noticed it. If that was it, it wouldn't be a big deal, but Yang Yu had pointed the spearhead at him in a few words. Given his cultivation level, doing this was a bit too much. After seeing through the clues and adding on the reminder from the old man, Ouyang Long, Wang Lin knew that Yang Yu was targeting him. He had only interacted with the Devil Collection sect once, and that was when Zhao Yu went to the continent of Mo Luo. However, Wang Lin didn't know if Yang Yu was testing his cultivation level because of Zhao Yu or because of the flaw on the wild continent. However, in any case, the strong were respected in the cultivation world. Revealing a bit of cultivation would not only serve as a deterrent, but would also earn him respect and give him the right to talk. In a flash, Wang Lin made a decision, so he attacked with the Thunderstrike. When he heard the old man say, "Fellow cultivator Liu," Wang Lin's mind became even more clear. Li Qianmei had only cultivated for a short period of time, and she didn't have the experience that Wang Lin had. She hadn't seen through these flaws until Wang Lin said to have Yang Yu's elder come and speak. She had seen through the clues. This person's mind is even more terrifying than his cultivation level. Li Qianmei looked at Wang Lin and was shocked. Chapter 1171. In the various cities of the floating market in the eastern part of the Penglai continent, there were all kinds of inns and lodging. Although cultivators could abstain from eating and did not need to rest too much, they still had appropriate food and drink. Even if they wanted to meditate, they would still need to find a quiet room in an inn. Therefore, there was no lack of places like this in the cities. At this moment, on the 3rd floor of an inn in the city, everyone had left. Only 2 old men, Wang Lin and Li Qianmei, remained on the large 3rd floor. One of the two old men was naturally Uncle Master Yongyu, and the other had a bright red face. The green-robed old man smiled and said, "Fellow cultivator Liu, the old man hasn't introduced himself. The old man is the rank 6 Devil Collection Sect's elder, Tang Lihai. The old man is the Devil Collection Sect's Wu Qing." The red-faced old man's voice was like a bell that caused the third floor of the inn to tremble. These two old men were both at the early stage of Nirvana Shatterer, but they didn't show any arrogance before Wang Lin. In particular, Wu Qing had heard Tang Lihai's message and found out what had happened. He was secretly shocked and didn't dare to underestimate Wang Lin at all. Li Qianmei quietly sat on the side and played with the wine cup in her hand. However, her gaze would occasionally sweep toward a table in the corner. Tang Lihai and Wu Qing naturally knew her identity, but seeing that Li Qianmei's hair had changed color, they naturally didn't show it. They didn't say much and only respectfully looked at her. "Today's matter was my fault. I hope fellow cultivator Liu doesn't mind." Tang Lihai picked up the wine cup and looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression remained neutral as he raised the wine cup. However, he didn't drink and put it down. Tang Lihai smiled and said, "Before, I heard my disciple Zhao Yu mention fellow cultivator Liu's spell. Seeing you today, you are indeed extraordinary. This Tang wants to be friends with Brother Liu." Tang Lihai smiled. "That's easy. Making friends with the Devil Collection Sect is also my intention." Wang Lin's expression did not change as he quietly waited for the other party to continue. He did not believe that the other party invited him here just to make friends. He was afraid that there was a deeper meaning behind it. As the two of them conversed, Tang Lihai never revealed his true purpose. He only secretly sized up Wang Lin during the conversation. At the same time, he was wary of the relationship between Wang Lin and Li Qianmei. Wu Qing listened for a long time, and his face gradually revealed impatience. He picked up the wine cup and slammed it on the table. He looked at Wang Lin and said, "Fellow Taoist Liu, I don't like to talk too much. I invited you here today to ask if fellow Taoist is willing to join my Devil Collection Path as a Foreign Affairs Elder. If you agree, my Devil Collection Path will definitely welcome you. Even if you don't agree, after today, the three of us can be considered acquaintances. Cultivators of our generation can call each other fellow Taoists, and we are friends." Hearing Wu Qing's words, Tang Lihai revealed a bitter smile. He looked at Wang Lin and said, "I originally planned to discuss this matter in detail with fellow Taoist after 3 cups of wine, but I forgot about Wu Qing's temper. Fellow Taoist Liu, my Devil Collection Path is very sincere. If you become a Foreign Affairs Elder, my Devil Collection Path will provide you with alchemy materials and everything you need. You only need to protect the dignity of my Devil Collection Path." After pondering for a moment, Wang Lin slowly said, "I need to consider this matter. How about this? I will give you an answer before leaving Penglai Continent." Tang Lihai laughed and nodded. "That should be the case. Fellow Taoist, please consider it carefully. We will wait for the good news." With the matter discussed, Wang Lin stood up, cupped his fists, and left with Li Qianmei. After the two of them left, the red-faced old man's expression immediately became gloomy. He no longer had the straightforward appearance from before. He slowly said, "His cultivation is very strange." Tang Lihai solemnly said, "It is indeed strange. Moreover, he is cautious, suspicious, and extraordinarily wise. His attacks are even more vicious and ruthless." At this moment, a figure gradually appeared on the table in the corner. It was a middle-aged man wearing a Taoist robe. This man's face was white and clean, and he had the demeanor of an immortal. He stood up, walked in front of the two elders, and slowly sat down. The middle-aged man looked out the window and softly said, "I can't tell if he saw through my concealment or not." Tang Lihai hesitated for a moment before saying, "Even if he saw through it, it should be Li Qianmei who secretly told him." The middle-aged man shook his head. Wu Qing's eyes flashed and revealed a cold light as he said, "Is it that person? If he saw through it, then he is. If he didn't, then he isn't." The middle-aged man withdrew his gaze, but his brows were furrowed. "No matter what, don't touch this person. I have a feeling that he is very dangerous. My devil collection path will withdraw from the matter of the pill recipe and jade. We can't afford to participate in this matter." The middle-aged man softened his brows and revealed a tired expression. There were markets in every city on the continent of Peng Lai, and there were many of them. In the next few days, Wang Lin bid farewell to Li Qianmei and wandered around the market by himself. Li Qianmei nodded with a smile, and the two of them parted ways. Without Li Qianmei by his side, Wang Lin no longer had any scruples. He wandered around the market, looking for people who were selling star maps. That day, Wang Lin faintly saw a cultivator sitting at a table in the corner. However, he didn't reveal anything and didn't reveal anything. It looks like the clues to the wild continent have already been found. Wang Lin let out a sigh and hurried to buy star maps. However, the price of star maps was often very high, and it was difficult to tell the real from the fake. After wandering around the market for 3 days, although Wang Lin had bought some, he didn't have any confidence in his heart. On the 3rd day, Wang Lin returned to the inn and sat down on the bed. He looked at the 6 star maps in his hand and began to ponder. Not long after, his expression changed, and he looked up at the door. A moment later, there was a knock on the door. Finally here, Wang Lin revealed a smile and waved his right hand. The door opened with a creak, and a middle-aged man stood outside. He had a burly build and a capable expression. He didn't enter the room. Instead, he clasped his hands and respectfully said, "Senior, my master, Ouyang Long, invites you." Wang Lin got up and walked towards the door. The middle-aged man respectfully stepped aside and led the way. After leaving the inn, the two of them turned into rays of light and left the city. It was already night, but the market of the Penglai continent was even livelier. The sounds of people entering and leaving could be heard continuously. A moment later, the two of them arrived at the center of the many cone-shaped stones in the Penglai continent. On top of the incomparably huge stone was a majestic city that was dozens of times larger than the surrounding cities. In the dark of the night, the city was like a huge, fierce beast, giving off a strong sense of oppression. Under the middle-aged man's guidance, the two of them went straight to the east gate. There were many cultivators guarding the east gate, and if they wanted to enter, they had to show a jade slip. Wang Lin noticed that after the middle-aged man took out a jade slip, the cultivators immediately became respectful and moved aside. Even Wang Lin and the others didn't check and let the two of them enter. After entering the city, it didn't take long for them to arrive at the center of the city. The middle-aged man stopped outside an exquisite pavilion and respectfully said to Wang Lin, "Senior, please enter." "With Junior's identity, I can't enter." Wang Lin nodded. He scanned the area with his divine sense and walked into the pavilion. Just as he entered, he heard a hearty laugh. It was Ouyang Long coming down from upstairs. He clasped his hands at Wang Lin from a distance. "I've made fellow cultivator wait for a long time. You really need too much, so you need to be fully prepared." Ouyang Long's attitude was very enthusiastic, completely different from 3 days ago. Wang Lin clasped his hands and smiled. No problem. He naturally understood why Ouyang Long was like this. It was because his actions at the market had not only shocked the devil collection path, but also the force behind Ouyang Long. Come, fellow cultivator, the old man will take you to a place where we will trade today. There will also be rewards to be had. Fellow cultivator, why don't you play some bets? Maybe you can win big this time." Ouyang Long had a smile on his face, but he didn't dare to underestimate this young man in white. This young man had found him 3 days ago and placed such a big order. This young man had clearly seen through his identity. Just this alone was enough to show that this young man was not simple. Not to mention what happened at the market, which shocked him even more. "Thank you, fellow cultivator, Ouyang." Wang Lin politely replied and followed Ouyang Long to the bottom of the building. He spread out his divine sense with caution, but what he saw caused Wang Lin to be startled. However, his expression didn't reveal anything. The bottom of the pavilion was completely hollow, and it led to a huge platform with a circumference of nearly 100,000 feet. The platform was surrounded by stone steps, and many cultivators were sitting on it. The noise was deafening, and there were even the roars of spirit beasts mixed in with the noise. There were two spirit beasts that were 1,000 feet long, fighting each other on the platform. On the platform, there were many tunnels that looked like arms floating in the air. The ends of these tunnels were circular, and there were rows of windows around them. Wang Lin and Ouyang Long were inside one of these tunnels. Ouyang Long led the way and smiled at Wang Lin. This is the Peng Lai continent's beast gambling ground. If fellow cultivator has his eyes on a spirit beast, why don't you bet on it? Wang Lin nodded his head and didn't say anything else. The two of them walked quickly and quickly arrived at the front of the tunnel. From afar, there were two cultivators sitting cross-legged in meditation. Both of them had extraordinary cultivation. Between the two of them was a closed stone door. Ouyang Long paused and looked at Wang Lin. After pondering for a while, he said, "Today's transaction is being hosted by my martial uncle. He has also invited a few fellow cultivators to participate. It could be considered a small private auction. If fellow cultivator has anything that interests you, feel free to bid for it. After the auction, my martial uncle will discuss the transaction with you." Fellow cultivator, there is something that I still don't understand. I hope fellow cultivator can dispel it. Fellow cultivator Ouyang, please speak. Wang Lin nodded his head. How did fellow cultivator know my identity? Ouyang Long stared at Wang Lin. If someone had introduced him, it would have been easier to explain. However, this person in front of him had actually come to his private stall without any introduction and determined that he had more origin crystals. He had even faintly pointed out his identity through his divine sense. Wang Lin faintly smiled. Chapter 1172. Even in the end, Wang Lin didn't say the specific reason and avoided it. The more he did this, the more Ouyang Long felt something was off. He felt like this ordinary-looking young man in white was shrouded in mystery. It wasn't good to ask, so Ouyang Long wryly smiled and shook his head. He no longer brought it up and reminded Wang Lin, fellow cultivator, according to the rules of this auction, it's a taboo to hide one's appearance. With that, he arrived at the stone door at the end of the passage and gently knocked on it. A moment later, the stone door trembled and ripples appeared. It was as if it had melted and gradually became blurry. Ouyang Long turned around and clasped his hands at Wang Lin before disappearing into the ripples. Wang Lin pondered a bit and didn't hide his appearance. Since he dared to come, he wasn't afraid of causing trouble. He stepped into the ripples and disappeared. His vision blurred, and when it became clear again, Wang Lin looked around. He was in a room hundreds of feet wide. The floor was made of some unknown material, but it was completely transparent. He could clearly see the battle between the two fierce beasts on the platform below. There were some chairs scattered around the room, surrounding a chair at the front. There were 7 cultivators calmly sitting on the chairs, and none of them covered their faces. The moment Wang Lin entered, their gazes gathered on him. Their gazes were like swords and extremely sharp. When they landed on Wang Lin, it was as if they were corporeal, and he could feel his skin turn cold. One of them was startled when he saw Wang Lin, but he soon recovered and smiled. The person in the chair was an old man with silver hair and a gray robe. His eyes were slightly closed, but there was a hint of light coming from them. He looked at Wang Lin with a dignified expression and was at the mid-stage of Nirvana Shatterer. Behind him, Ouyang Long bent down and whispered something into the old man's ear. Wang Lin's expression was neutral as he walked forward under everyone's gazes. He arrived next to a chair and calmly sat down. His eyes were calm as he looked at everyone and clasped his hands at the person who had smiled at him earlier. Wu Qing didn't expect to see Wang Lin here and was very surprised. However, since Wang Lin could enter this private auction, Wu Qing had a higher opinion of him. As Wang Lin's gaze casually swept by, aside from the old man, who was obviously Ouyang Long's uncle and Wu Qing, the other 5 were all at the early stage of Nirvana Shatterer. Sitting across from Wang Lin was a young scholar. His face was pale, and he gently waved the feather fan in his hand. His expression didn't reveal any joy or anger. When Wang Lin looked at him, the scholar smiled and looked at Wang Lin with a hint of interest. There was a young woman sitting beside him. She was wearing a flowery dress and looked very beautiful. She sat there with a hint of laziness in her eyes. Her gaze swept past Wang Lin's face and then no longer paid any attention to him. There was also an old man sitting not far away. His appearance was very strange, and his face was covered in scars. At first glance, he looked very terrifying. His eyes were gloomy as he rubbed the ring on his right index finger and continued to spin it. Aside from these three, Wang Lin calmly looked at the other two. Not far to his left sat an old man dressed in a black robe. This old man had a skinny appearance, and his lips were slightly thin. His left hand, which was like an eagle's claw, held two beads the size of a baby's fist. As his left hand moved, the two beads revolved around each other, and from time to time, they would collide with each other, giving off light bangs. The last person to enter was an old woman with white hair and wrinkled skin. She wore a green dress and sat there motionlessly. However, when Wang Lin's gaze swept by, the old woman's eyes were like lightning as she coldly looked at Wang Lin once more. This was obviously a small gathering targeted at Nirvana Shatterer cultivators. Being able to enter meant that one's status and strength were recognized. If it wasn't for the fact that Wang Lin had easily injured the three people from the Devil Collection sect, and that the number of transactions this time was quite large, it would have been very difficult for him to enter. Even if he entered now, he would only be ranked last in the eyes of the others. After Ouyang Long finished speaking to the old man, he stood up and respectfully stood to the side. The old man let out a dry cough as his gaze swept the surrounding cultivators. His hoarse voice echoed across the room. Today is a private gathering hosted by the old man, Master Ashenpine. He has invited some old friends, but of course there are also two new fellow cultivators. The old man won't waste time on polite words. According to the old rules, let's place our bets first. After the old man finished speaking, Ouyang Long immediately walked up and took out 6 jades from his storage space. He handed them to the 6 people, including Wang Lin. The last one was respectfully handed to the old man. Wang Lin held the jade and scanned it with his divine sense. He immediately saw that there was information on more than 100 fierce beasts inside. There's actually a sword lion beast. The old man will bet on this beast. The old man with a face full of scars laughed. He made some changes to the jade with his divine sense and threw the jade at Ouyang Long. Wang Lin calmly scanned the fierce beasts inside the jade. He didn't know much about fierce beasts, and the records of the Origin sect weren't enough. Most of the fierce beasts in the jade were ones that the Origin sect didn't have. While looking at the jade, Wang Lin gained a lot from his understanding of fierce beasts. Seeing that the others had already thrown out their jades, Wang Lin chose a fierce beast called the Winged Cloud. He placed a bet of 100 celestial jades and handed the jade to Ouyang Long. The white-haired old man faintly smiled and said, "Today, I want to see which of us will win. We will know the answer later. Right now, the old man has 3 treasures for everyone to take a look. If anyone is interested, feel free to name a price." As the old man spoke, he waved his right hand, and 3 crystal lights flew out and floated in the air. The first of the 3 items was a flying sword. It was glittering and translucent, and a cold aura seeped into it. There was even a thread of blood flowing within it, causing the flying sword to exude a murderous aura. The second item was a broken piece of armor. It gave off an ancient aura, as if it had endured the passage of time for eternity. The third item was a pill. This pill was completely black and didn't have any medicinal fragrance. Instead, there was a terrifying fluctuation coming from it, causing Wang Lin's gaze to linger on it for a bit longer. The first item is the Blood Crystal Sword. I killed nearly 1,000 Class 8 ferocious beasts and refined it with all their blood. I even asked Senior Dao Yezi to bless it with light when it was forged, causing its power to multiply. In particular, there's a line of blood within it. It contains a strange poison. If you're injured by it, not only will your body be damaged, but even your soul will wither. Senior Dao Yezi blessed it. The beautiful woman waved her right hand, and the blood crystal sword flew into her hand. After carefully looking at it, the beautiful woman let go, and the sword flew back into the air. The second item contains a set of spells, but it is a bit damaged and cannot be cultivated. What a pity. As for the third item, it will depend on everyone's eyesight. If you want to trade, you should know the old man's rules. I only want celestial jades. After the white-haired old man finished speaking, he silently smiled and looked at everyone. Aside from Wang Lin and the old woman in green, who didn't move, the other four people all looked at the three treasures. The blood crystal sword was bought by the beautiful woman. She had told Master Ashen Pine how much she had spent, so outsiders didn't know. As for the fragment, no one asked about it. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he waved his right hand and the fragment landed in his hand. He spread out his divine sense, but he didn't focus on the spells inside. Instead, he focused on the material of the fragment. The fragment looked like a bone, but after looking closely, it wasn't. He couldn't help but ponder. The middle-aged scholar held the black pill in his hand and sniffed it. He revealed a hesitant expression as he looked at the white-haired old man and said, "Master Ashenpine, I'll pay 500 celestial jades for this pill. Master Ashenpine, I'll pay 500 celestial jades for this pill." Master Ashenpine shook his head and slowly said, 100 times. After he spoke, the eyes of the surrounding cultivators narrowed as they looked at the pill. They were all Nirvana Shatter-Old monsters, so they didn't show their emotions. Even if they looked at them, it would be very difficult for outsiders to see through their expressions. The middle-aged scholar pondered a bit and smiled. After hearing the price, he was sure of his guess. He put the pill away and nodded at Master Ashenpine. Master Ashenpine smiled as his gaze fell on Wang Lin. "Does fellow cultivator like this item?" Wang Lin raised his head and hesitated. After pondering for a bit, he said, "This item is useless to me, but I like rare items. I'll pay 100 celestial jades." Master Ashenpine pondered a bit and waved his hand. He smiled and said, "I originally didn't plan on selling it. I just wanted to see if anyone could recognize it. Since fellow cultivator likes it, I'll give it to you." Wang Lin clasped his hands to express his thanks and put the fragment away. The old man holding the two balls slowly said, "Old man was wrong before. I didn't expect this pill to be the chaotic origin pill that can threaten Nirvana Shatterer cultivators. However, just one pill isn't powerful enough." With that, the old man waved his right hand and two items floated in the air, a red feather and a bubble the size of a head. There was a beast soul inside the bubble. Half of the beast soul's body was a dragon and the other half was mist. It struggled and roared as if it wanted to rush out. The moment these two items were taken out, the room became silent and everyone's gazes looked over. Wang Lin stared at the red feather and his mind trembled, but he hid it very well and didn't reveal any of it. The first item seems to be Rosefinch's feather. Although it is difficult to tell if it is real or fake, the fire origin energy is extremely dense. As for the second item, there is no need for the old man to say more. It is the soul of a rank 12 beast that has turned into mist. The old man doesn't have as many rules as Master Ashenpine. If you want to trade, you could do anything as long as the old man is interested. After the old man finished speaking, he looked at everyone and no longer spoke. Unfortunately, it is only a beast that has turned into mist. What a pity. Wu Qing looked at the beast inside the bubble and shook his head with a sigh. The old man let out a cold snort. If it was a real mist beast, how could the old man sell it? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.